Hi everyone, welcome to this Ask Me Any US Stock live session. If you can see and you can hear us guys loud and clear, you can see my screen as well. Just type a one in the chat so that we know that this live stream, all right, that we are doing live on YouTube as well as on Facebook is working fine. Thank you so much. I think some of you have already joined us. We have like more than 40 of you on YouTube. Let's just wait for a few more people to join us. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's see. We have like Vincent over here as well. Thank you, Vincent. I think you're already typing your stocks that you want. Broadcom, is it good to hold? Let's see. We have AMD, CRW. Awesome, guys. Let's see. Alex over here. Hi, Alex. Good to see you. This type one guys in chat. If you can see, you can hear us loud and clear. Thank you so much. Good morning as well, Stacy. Awesome. All right. So welcome, guys, to this live session. All right, and we want to do this sessions, I would say, every Friday. All right, so if you have followed us in the previous live session just last Friday as well at 10:30 a.m., we actually did Ask Me Any Singapore stocks, right? So today we'll be talking about the US market. I know some of you are already typing in the chat the stocks that you want, like NVDA. We even have a Futu, Chun Sing, right? So step by step, not to worry. Later we will do our best to cover every hopefully most of the stock that you guys are asking about. My apologies if we cannot cover all of them, but we'll do our best. So today is the US market, So very simple, guys. This is what will happen today, right? We'll do a quick market outlook, maybe look at the S&P500 index, and then we will dive into the stocks that you guys are looking at, all right, very quickly. And of course, at the end, there will be three bonus US stocks that we share with you that are in our watch list that are looking not too bad. We have some bullish signals coming out on my indicator as well. You might want to put them in your watch list, right? So why three bonus stocks? So essentially, I have my team right over here. We have Bervyn and Zee, who are my trainers and mentors as well over the past few years. And they will be here as well to share on the stocks that you guys are asking about as well. This will help me out a little bit, all right? And maybe I can just introduce them. Bervyn and Zee, just say hi for a while.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thanks for joining us on a Friday morning.
Hello. I hope all of you guys can actually hear us. Anything, any technical issues, feel free to let us know in the chat because we'll actually look at it, right?
Okay, awesome. So let me just introduce my team, guys. Okay, for those of you who are scrolling through, like YouTube and even like Facebook, and let me just do a quick introduction. My name is Choy. All right, one of the top tier remisiers and traders in Philip Securities. So we'll be doing some trainings as well. And if you want to learn a little bit more on my one good trend strategy, can attend one of those free web class that we're running. We have one like next week, or maybe we'll send you the link later in the chat. All right, so you can attend one of those free webinars to find out a little bit more on the strategy of perhaps how you can have an indicator to guide you on entry and exit. All right, so that's what will happen later. I'll share with you guys. And to introduce my team as well, I have with me Bervyn right over here. Bervyn is kind of like a CFA chartered holder. For those of you who are in the financial institution, CFA is one of the biggest qualifications that you can ever get. All right, whereby you are kind of a expert, not just in technical analysis, but also fundamental analysis. And Bervyn has been with me for a while now. One of my top tier remisiers in Philip Securities under me as well. Also a trainer under me as well. He do conduct our group coaching session as well. Also assisting our portfolio manager as well with one of the top management of the stocks as well. All right, and we have Zee as well over here. So Zee is a CMT, all right, chartered market technician, charter holder. All right, so those of you who are in the technical analysis space, this is one of the highest qualification one can ever get in this space, right? So Zee has been with me for a while as well, under my team for more than 4 years now, I would say. Also a mentor, a trainer as well, right? Conducting our group coaching session with our mentees as well, all right? And that's great to get started, right? So there's a quick disclaimer. Whatever that is being shared today, right, it's just for education purpose only. So please do your own due diligence, all right? It's not to ask you to buy or to sell, or not to ask you not to buy or not to sell, all right? Do your own due diligence, all right? And we're just sharing with you our opinion based on a reasonable, basis, based on the charts, based on the indicator, based on the technical analysis as well. All right, so let's go to get started right now. And let me pull out what we call the market. So we just cover the markets. How many want me to cover the market? Just type M for market, guys. If you want me to cover the markets, right, just type M for markets, right? And would it be okay, guys, if you help me to like and share? Would it be okay, guys? I think there should be a like and share button somewhere. How about to just like and share as well so that you can reach out to more people, all right, and get more people join as well, to lots of people. And what happens is that, guys, you want to turn on your notification, all right, turn on the device notification so that when we go live in the future, so if you're on YouTube, there should be a bell icon at the right, all right, you can just turn it on so that when we go live in the future, you will be notified as well, all right. So I was like and share and tap on the screen to show us some hearts or what. I'm not sure. Yeah, not too sure how it works, but yeah, thank you so much. I think so those of you who are like liking and sharing. Okay, so let's get started right now. So all right, so I think Alex wanted me to cover the market. So maybe let's just go ahead to cover like the markets very quickly. And we take a look at maybe the S&P 500 index very quickly. So you can see this is the S&P 500 index, right? So maybe before we even talk about the market, the S&P 500 index, right? Maybe you guys can tell me what do you guys think about the trends in the market so far? What do you guys think about the trend so far? Are we looking at a pretty bullish trend so far, or maybe a bit of weakness? Let me know, guys, in the chat. All right, what do you guys think? Maybe you can just type like up or down, like in terms of like the trend that we're seeing over the like in the short term. Are we in the downtrend or are we in an uptrend? Just type up, U for up, D for down. All right, so that we can see. And thank you so much, guys, for giving all the hearts and stuff. All right, awesome. So I think there's a lot of heart shape as well. Thank you so much for those of you who are giving us all the hearts right over here. All right, thank you so much for this, all the hearts and flying. Right, so thank you so much. Okay, let's see, right? So we are seeing that up as well. I think uncertain as well. Sichuan, a bit of short-term weakness, Alex, up as well. All right. Short-term weakness, down as well in the short term as well, maybe. Okay, let's go to find out. So basically, guys, this is the S&P 500 index, and you have seen that over the past like 1 month, we have seen weakness in the markets due to the Federal Reserve actually coming out and mentioned that they want to slow down the pace of rate cuts. So instead of like 4 rate cuts this year, they are kind of like predicting that maybe about just two rate cuts this year. And that's where the market got a little bit uncertain. There's a bit of a sell down in the tech sector as well. All right. And that's the reason why we are pretty much selling down over the past week. So you can see, right, in terms of the longer term trend, if I can share with you, the longer term trend has been up since last year. Just by looking at the red and the blue, like the 100 days moving average and the 200 days moving average, you can see as long as the red is above the blue, which is still the case right now, right? The red is still above the blue. So the longer term trend has been up actually since last year. But right, it doesn't mean that the longer term trend is up. It means that the short term trend is always up, right? No, because the short term trend can be down as well. Look at this over here, right? You can see the short term trend is down. We saw the 20 days moving average, the green line actually pointing down. Look at this, right? Down. All right, down over here. So whenever you get like a bearish signal plus the 20 days moving average line that represents the short term trend, all right, turns down, we may see selling in the short term. It doesn't mean it's going to crash all the way, but we may see some selling in the short term. We may pull back down to some of those key support levels as well that comes out. And that is where, right, hopefully some bargain hunting comes back and we may potentially see a reversal as well. So you can see right now, all right, based on the short-term trend, what do you guys think about the short-term trend right now? Is it up and down? I mean, up or down for the S&P 500 index for the market? Is the short-term trend up or down? So the longer-term trend is up. But what about the short-term trend? Is it up or down? Let me know, guys, in the chat. Type D for down, all right, U for up. Let me know. So let's see, right? Volatile. Vincent, you're saying it's a little bit volatile. Rico, you're saying your short term is up. All right. What about the rest? Sorry, what do you guys think about the short term trend? Is it up or is it down? U for up, D for down. Let me go to look through the comments. Right. So, guys, for those of you who have just joined us, welcome to this session called Ask Me Any US Stocks as well. So, what happens, guys, is that we are doing a live market analysis right now before we dive into the stocks that you guys are asking about. So, just hang in there. All right. I know some of you are already typing in the stock that you guys want already. We'll go through them one by one later. But now we want to talk about the market, right? So, what do you guys think? Is it up or down in the short term right now? So, let's see, right? Kapi, you're saying it's down. Short term down as well. Vincent down, right? Jerry maybe a bit of down as well. Up, all right. So some up, some down. All right, consolidating. Thank you so much. Alex D down, Mabel down. So let me go ahead and explain. So as I mentioned just now, right, in the longer term trend is up, but in the short term, right now, to be honest, we are seeing a bit of weakness. Why? Look at this, right? We have a bearish signal right over here, just coming out in December, 19 December, just about 3 weeks back, in fact, about a month back, we got this bearish signal. And you can see that the green line, so 2 confirmations saying that it's down. Why? So we got a bearish signal. So how do you get these signals coming out? Well, this is based on my one good trend pro indicator. If you want to find out exactly, guys, as to how you can, in seconds, right, just on any asset classes, whether it's the market or stocks or any asset classes, whether it's gold or forex or Bitcoin or whatever, right, you can get an opinion in seconds based on the bullish or bearish signal. Attend one of those free webinars, guys. Maybe I'll just place the link in the chat right now, right, so that for those of you who want to know a bit more in terms of the strategy and how you can have an indicator like this to guide you, that is pretty much the link. You can scan on, the QR code as well that we have just placed onto the screen. All right, yeah, that's pretty much the link to scan the QR code to join us on a free webinar, whereby I'll share with you guys a bit more on the entire strategy, and how you can have an indicator to guide you, not just to get in, but also to get out, like what we're seeing over here, right? And so when there's a bearish signal, why we may actually see weakness. So you can see, right over here, we got a bearish signal coming out just in 18 December, right? And that was the first confirmation, right? And the green 20 days moving average line, this green line, we had a bullish signal in September. You can see it went all the way up. A bearish signal came out. The green 20 days moving average line also started to turn down. All right, you can see, is it up or down right now? Well, it is still pointing down. So if you ask me, I think the short-term trend is still down. All right, we can wait, for a few things to happen before maybe thinking about getting in again. Right. So what's the first thing you can wait for? Well, we can wait for the 20 days moving average line to maybe, not stop, not going down more, right, obviously, right? So we want it to stabilize and maybe flatten out a little bit, maybe starting to point back up, something like what we see over here, guys. Can you see something like that, right? So we see maybe like a reversal. So I'm not saying that this will exactly happen, but let's just assume that we spot something like from here all the way up. Does it make sense? All right. Yeah. So we can from here, if you can take it from here and put it over here. Does it make sense, guys? So we see a bullish signal coming out again. That will be another confirmation. We see the green 20 days moving average line coming out again. That will be another confirmation of that reversal move. So if you ask me right now, is it out yet? Haven't yet. All right, haven't come out yet. Will it come out next week or next week? I don't know, right? But once it come out, then of course we'll know lah. Right? Then that's why we're going to think about potentially positioning ourselves again to get into the market to ride even more upside. Does it make sense so far? All right, so that's the market. For those of you who have just joined us, right, you're scrolling through Facebook and YouTube, welcome. Right, welcome to this Ask Me Any US Stock. Right, we have just covered the markets, and now we are going into the stocks that you guys are asking about. And as I mentioned, at the end of this live show, all right, Ask Me Any US Stock live show, we'll share with you guys 3 US stocks, one from me, all right, one from Bervyn as well, one from Zee as well over here, all right, just to add more value to you guys so you can put those stocks in your watch list. So make sure you stay all the way to the end if you want to find out what are the top stocks that we are actually watching, that perhaps you might want to watch them as well. All right, okay, so let me go to talk about the stocks that you guys want right now. So I think we have quite a little bit of stocks that are in the chat. Let me just go through one by one. And if I can just pick one of them first, maybe let's see, we can have let me just pick, I think we have Tesla. All right, let's see, Tesla. I'll do Tesla. All right, maybe Bervyn can help me out with another one later. So I'll just do Tesla. And let me just do Tesla, TESLA, Tesla. So just going to type in the chat, guys. Go type in the chat. We'll try our best to cover as many as possible. So the first one that we'll cover will be this thing called Tesla, TESLA. I think all of you know Tesla, right? So I think for Tesla, you can see that not too bad. We have, okay, let me just, before I even talk about this, the signals, right? Let me just go to turn it off so it's a bit cleaner. We can turn it on later. But just do a quick manual analysis. This is Tesla. It's $413 right now, TSLA, very popular stock. Of course, Elon Musk is the founder. We saw a very major rally, all right, for Tesla when we broke a very key level, the $280 level, somewhere around November. I think all of you know why, right? Donald Trump won the presidential US election. Next Monday, there will be the inauguration ceremony, right? So in November, when Donald Trump won the election, right, and that's where Elon Musk, right, being one of the backers of Donald Trump, and now, right, with Donald Trump winning, there's a lot of influence on Elon Musk, on Donald Trump's administration as well. I think he's being having a position in one of the board as well, the government board as well. All right, so it's a bullish thing, a lot of bullish sentiment. You can see technically we broke this very key resistance. Look at this guy. This is the 280, maybe 290, 300, but all this while for the past 2 over years, We just couldn't get above that level, right? Look at this, right? We attempted, all right, this came down. We have been moving sideways. A little bit boring, I would say, for Tesla over the past 2 years. But when this thing happened, you see, finally, we broke above that resistance level, the 280, 290 resistance in November. There we go. All right, there we go. Of course, when that happened, you can see that the green line that represents the short-term trend. Look at this, the green line was like, up a bit, down a bit, up a bit, down a bit. But when this thing happened, right over here, maybe broke 280 and 290, right? You can see that the 20 days moving average line started to just turn up very firmly. Does it make sense? All right, so that's where we see the short-term trend turning up. So two confirmations. We broke a resistance. The 20 days moving average, the short-term trend turned up. The longer-term trend was actually up already. You can see, right? The red was actually above the blue, right? Still okay. So we got like 3 or 4 confirmations. So let me go to turn on what we call these signals, right? If you kind of a click of a button, all right, I can turn on what we call the bullish and bearish signals. You can see, right? So this was what happened. And before it even happened, look at this, right? On the 24th and 25th of October, we actually had 2 bullish signals coming out, right? 2 bullish signals coming out on my one good trend pro indicator. It happened about 2 weeks back. Pump, it happened. And look at this, right? It just went all the way up. And over the past 2 weeks, now we have a bearish signal coming out. Bearish signal coming, you can see, right? So we started to see a bit of weakness. Now, doesn't mean the bearish signal come up means you will like crash all the way, but it just means a bit of weakness. There's some obstacle, there's some selling pressure coming back. You might want to take some profit. I mean, just looking at the gains from these 2 bullish signals all the way up to here, where I would say about a 73% gain in 2 months. 73, not 7, 73% gain in 2 months. All right, so pretty strong. So I think you can take some profit. I mean, based on this bullish signal, looks pretty good. But now that we have a bearish signal, what can we potentially do? So first of all, let me explain why we have a bearish signal. As you can see that when we turn on this thing called the trailing support, so let me just remove everything right over here. Right, so when we got these bullish signals coming, you can see that a trailing support pops up, all right, based on my indicator, all right, and this trailing support follows Tesla as the prices move up, right? So it goes higher, it move up, it goes higher, it move up. But one fine day somewhere in December, you can see it didn't really move up, and prices, you can see, kind of went below or close below the trailing support line. And that's the reason why we actually have a bearish 1 GT signal. Does it make sense? Because this trailing support line, how does it work? This trailing support line basically give a stock or the market or whatever you want, right? A breathing space or allowance for it to move up, all right, while maintaining a certain distance, giving it space to move up. Hopefully, can move up more. So you give it allowance. So by right, if you're good, you're strong, you're in a very firm uptrend, you should be above it, right? You should be above it. But if you go below it, I mean, I'm giving you allowance, but yet you still go below it, then a bit shaky. Might see a bit of weakness in short term. You can see, right? That's indeed happening because the green line, which was up, has started to move sideways, right? Sideways. So we have turned from a bit of an uptrend to a bit of a sideways trend. Does it make sense? All right. So that is a sideways trend. So it doesn't mean that we're going down. What? But just that right now, maybe a bit of sideways trends. If the green line, all right, the green line, this 20 days moving average line, now it's sideways. But let's say it starts to like turn down and then not so good, and then we of course we got a bearish signal plus the green line turns down, then we may see even more weakness. But right now, I would say maybe a bit of consolidation. We might see maybe some support coming out right over here. If I can draw it, maybe about 360, 370. A little bit of support. It was a bit of a resistance here, turn support. So that might be the range, right? From 360, 370, all the way to maybe about 480. That is for Tesla. So I think in order to think about getting in, we would normally wait to see if we have a bullish signal coming out. We want to wait for the short-term trend to turn up as well. That would be another confirmation. So that is Tesla, all right? Tesla, who is asking about energized mode, right? So I think let's move on to the next stock. Maybe Bervyn can help me out. The next stock, go ahead to choose it, and then you can go ahead to present. Bervyn, yours.
Sure. Thanks, Joey. So I think the next stock, I think Edmund was asking very, very early on about this NVDA. So if you're looking at NVDA right now on my screen, you should be able to see it as well. All right, so here we go. So in NVIDIA, I think in early 2024, actually already saw that, the uptrend had started to form. The longer term uptrend especially had already started to form with the red and blue lines already starting to point up as the prices, of course, started to hit higher. I think there was a very respectable or very solid gains, I would say, of about towards the high of close to 250, 212% at its peak. So I think that is a very, very good counter, especially being one of the Magnificent 7 stocks as well. But if we look towards the closer term, the nearer term especially. What do we see about the 20 days moving average? Maybe just let me just zoom in a little bit for everyone to see. Can everyone tell me, is the 20 days moving average pointing up, pointing down, or just moving sideways? Maybe just let me know in the chat. Is it up, down, or sideways for NVIDIA for the nearer term? All right. U for up, D for down, and maybe sideways. Everybody can just type S. So we look at the 20 days moving average right here. What does it say? Up or down? Up or down, up or down, sideways, sideways. Stacy says sideways. Okay, sideways, sideways. Sideways, Hui says sideways. Okay, Prapu, sideways. Sideways, okay. Yes, I will agree with you guys that currently the NVIDIA is in a consolidation phase. Why? Is because I think very clearly we see the 20 days moving average moving sideways as well. Where could we possibly see some support? I think right now, one of the key supports to take note of would be around this 130 level. 130 level. Why? It's because I would say prices previously tested this level, came close to it, finally broke above it, and right now we have been testing it quite a few times already earlier this year, you know, consolidating just above it, where we actually see a little bit of buyers actually come in for this counter. All right, so if we look closely, where does the resistance currently reside? I would say it will be around the 150 level. 150 level, where actually you saw, you know, sellers actually came in a few times as you know, prices approach this level, you know, could be a bit of profit taking come in, and then buyers coming back at the 130 level to actually protect that level as well. So we turn on our one good trend signal. All right, here we see a recent 1 GT signal that actually had appeared. It is a bullish signal. So the green one is the bullish signal, the red one is the bearish signal. Okay, so that doesn't mean that you know, that the signal is out, you know, you immediately buy. No, so we actually look at the longer term trend as well. So the longer term trend, of course, remains pretty much intact. You know, it's still up with a little bit of consolidation on the 20 days moving average. So what does that say if we turn on the trailing support and resistance? Why did this 1 GT bullish signal actually come up? It is because, you know, prices actually on this day, 6th of January, prices actually broke above this, close to this 150 level that we actually dropped just now. Okay, but subsequently, you know, sellers actually came in. But right now, I would say the trend is still pretty much looking quite good. So what do we actually want to look out for NVIDIA right now? I would say we have to look out if the 20 days moving average start to flatten out, and of course stay above the 130 level and start to point up a little bit, and then that's when maybe we can continue to ride the trend, you know, towards this 150 level, and then subsequently, if it remains strong, it could continue to go above it as well. All right, so that is it for NVIDIA. Edmund, all good? All right, okay, so now I think Z would like to cover the next stock.
Yep, go ahead, Z. Maybe just choose one stock and then can go ahead to cover. All right. And go ahead to type in the chat, guys. Type in the chat if you have any stocks that you want. We'll just go through one by one. Give us some time. Maybe we'll go on to talk about more than 10, more than 20 stocks if you have time. But go ahead to type in the chat, right? So Z, go ahead. You can choose what stocks you like.
So I saw somebody earlier on as well, because we are looking through your chats, okay, and then we are trying to filter and cover as much as possible. So I saw someone, GK Lee. GK Lee, I hope you are here. I'll be covering Adobe now. Okay, so for Adobe, right? From, you know, somewhere in June 2023, May to June 2023, that's when we actually saw some reversal playing out, whereby we saw the 20 days moving average actually starts to point up, and both the longer term moving average went up, right? And here we actually saw two 1GT bullish signal coming out as well. And this is where we saw some selling pressure actually return, right? And prices actually came back down for a bit. But when the bullish signal actually came up, this was actually, if we exit about here, this is about almost a 60% run up. That's a pretty good signal right over here. And subsequently, you know, prices still continue to head up all the way until somewhere in February. At this point in time, you know, the longer term uptrend definitely is still up, right? 20 days above 100 days, above 200 days. But then this is where we actually start to see some short-term weakness returning as well, because 20 days break below 100 days, and then it subsequently break below the 200 days, where we also saw two confirmations in terms of the 1GT bearish signal. And then we see prices came back all the way down to about, you know, this 434 level, right? And then after that, you know, over here, we actually see some sideways movement, you know, prices going up and down, up and down. And what actually happens recently? Okay, let's take a closer look at this. Okay, so recently we actually see a 1GT bearish signal coming out over here. Why is there a 1GT bearish signal? Let me just turn on this trailing support and resistance. Okay, so right over here, why this 1GT bearish signal came out is because prices actually broke and closed below this green trailing support line, right? It actually gapped down. Probably, I guess it's due to earnings as well, due to earnings, because as you can see over here, this is the earning date. Probably due to earning and the guidance forecast, price actually gapped down, right? And then we actually have a 1GT bearish signal coming out as well. And now price is actually trading below this red trailing resistance line right over here. And let me just turn this off for a bit, okay? Okay, so if we take a look at the moving averages itself, what does it tell us? Okay, what does it tell us? It also actually tells us that, you know, short-term wise also not looking too good, right? Because, you know, why 20 days moving average is actually still pointing down. And what actually happened just a few days ago, this thing actually happened. So what is this? Remember, the red line is actually 100 days moving average. Blue line is actually 200 days. So this means that the 100 days moving average actually crossed below the 200 days moving average, and that is actually not a good sign in terms of the longer term trend as well, right? So in terms of long term and short term, now it's not looking too good, and plus we have a 1GT bearish signal. There is still no signs of reversal yet. But in terms of support wise, right, perhaps around this 400 psychological level, that is where we may see some buyers coming back in. But the thing is that if price actually break below and close below this 400 psychological level, that's where you might want to be a bit more careful, because this is where the longer term trend might also start to point down, and the shorter term trend also continues to start to point out, and we will actually definitely see more weakness towards this counter. But towards where perhaps towards, you know, this level right over here, let me just draw this for you guys. Okay, probably towards this level right over here, where we actually saw some buying pressure actually return, right? So if prices were to break the 400 psychological support level, potential downside that we are looking at is towards this 320 level over here. All right. Okay, so that would be for Adobe GK. I hope that makes sense. I will pass the time back over to Joey, and maybe we'll do this like in a cycle.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Z. All right. So yeah, maybe we can do a cycle, right? Just me and then Bervyn and Z. We'll just try to cover as many stocks as possible. But I hope you guys are getting value. I know some of you are already typing the stocks in the chat. As I say, we'll do our best to cover one by one. So just type it in the chat. We will star it, and then we'll go ahead to cover them as and when. So I think the next stock that I can cover, let me see, right? We have Jerry. Palantir, right? Palantir. Let me go ahead to maybe cover Palantir. All right. And that is stock number 4. So for those of you who have just joined us, right, welcome to this Ask Me Any US Stocks live session. So we have gone on for, I would say, just about 20 over minutes, right? 20 over minutes, 30 minutes. And we have talked about the market, the S&P 500 index. We have also covered like 3 stocks. We have covered number 1, and that will be Tesla, TSLA. We covered NVDA as well, one of the very popular AI stocks, number 2. Number 3, Z just covered Adobe, right? ADBE. And now, this is stock number 4, which I will be covering Palantir. I think TK code, you're asking about Palantir, PLTR. Yeah, that is a code as well. So let me just do Palantir since some of you are asking about it. And let's go. So this is Palantir right over here. One of the stocks actually that has been in my watch list. We actually caught for it since last year. For those of you who are my subscribers or graduates, we actually covered this stock. So you can see that we like this stock because, in fact, it was one of the very popular stocks that a lot of people asked about as well, right? The longer term trend, just by clearly looking at the red and the blue line, just last year, the longer term trend has actually turned up, right? Of course, look at the red and blue line right now. it is still obviously pointing up. So the longer term trend has been up. And in fact, right, even though the longer term trend was up, we actually saw some weakness in the short term just by looking at the green line. You can see, right, the green line came down a little bit. Look at here, right, it came down a bit, right? So I would say that in the short term, well, we are indeed seeing a bit of weakness as well in the short term over the past 1 week. Look at this, right? The green line, you was like up since September, August. Now, is it pointing down? Yes. All right, primary school one, up means up, down means down. You need to bluff yourself, right? So it is obviously pointing down. So the short-term trend has turned down, right, for Palantir, right? It doesn't mean it's going to crash or what. It just means that in the short term, we might see a bit of weakness. We are pulling back down to some of the previous support level, all right? You can take some profit if you've got in previously, all right? If you've got in at 25, 28, I mean, now it's like $60 over. Good profits, you can reduce some exposure, lock in some profits, right? Should we think about buying now? Maybe not. Normally, we're going to wait for some stability in the short-term trend so such that it starts to point out. And maybe you can take a look at what it says on my one good trend indicator, right? As I say, any asset classes, whether it's Palantir, I think Zee has covered Adobe, Tesla. I think some of you are asking about Apple. We'll cover that in a bit. But any asset classes, we can have a quick opinion in seconds based on my one good trend indicator, right? So to find out more, attend one of those free webinars, all right? The link is right in the chat. Team, just put the link in the chat again, right? And you can see, let me just turn it on right over here. And there we go, all right? This is Palantir, right? So just now I did a quick manual analysis, but now with these bullish signals, right? These bullish signals over here, you can see that in June, wow, we actually had two bullish signals coming out, pump, right? Went up a bit, a bearish signal, and look at this, right? I think there was a pretty good bullish signal in August last year, in about 3-4 months back. All right, 4 months back. Look at these guys, and there we go. All right, two bullish signals in Palantir, all the way up. We got a bearish signal, 147% gain in about 4 months. Just based on these two bullish signal. So let's take a look at what is happening right now. Why did we have a bearish signal for Palantir coming out? So if I can just turn it on again, all right, so essentially in this indicator, right, we are able to know, all right, exactly why every single signal appears. As I say, you're going to find a bit more, guys, attend one of those free webinars. I don't have time to share the whole strategy, but in a nutshell, we can turn on the trailing support. So when we had these bullish signals, you can see that we had a trailing support line popping up, all right? Of course, the green 20 days moving average line point up as well, up. Another confirmation, all right, of the short-term trend turning up. Of course, the long-term trend has been up, right? So 3 or 4 confirmation. 1, 2, 3, all right, confirmation, all right? And over the past week, well, you can see that this trailing support that accounts for the volatility as it moves up, right? We should be above it, right? Because as I say, it follows prices, it moves up, it gives it air to breathe. Hopefully, it can go up more, right? But one fine day over the past week, you can see that we actually came down, right? We came down, we went below this trailing support level. Yeah, we did bounce back up a little bit, but the fact is that we actually went below it, right? So it's a little bit shaky. And if you look at the green line right now, yeah, it is kind of like pointing down, as I mentioned. So 2 confirmations whereby short-term weakness is happening. So if you ask me right now, should we think about buying? Maybe just wait for it to stabilize a bit more. We may see some support maybe coming up from 60 to 65, but I think let it stabilize, wait for the green line to just, stop pointing down more, all right? Maybe wait for the bullish signal to come out. I think that will be another confirmation, all right? So that is for Palantir. I hope that helps, right? Jerry, I hope that helps as well. Cole, I hope that helps as well, all right? So that's PLTR, Palantir. Maybe we can move on to the next stock, all right? Bervyn, back to you.
All right, thank you, Joey. So I think just now, Alex was asking about AAPL. Sure. So let's cover AAPL, Apple. I think very familiar stock, one of the Magnificent Seven as well. So a little bit of weakness recently, but since the start of last year, we've also actually mid of last year, we actually saw a little bit of uptrend actually coming back in, the longer term trend stabilizing a little bit as we form into this year. So if we look closer into what has happened recently, prices has actually approached the 260 key level, the key resistance level, and we saw selling actually come back in as the 240, closer towards the 240 level, and that 240 level eventually also gave way. So I mean, that's clear signs of selling or clear signs of weakness that actually came in the nearer term. As you can also see, the 20 days moving average also started to slope down already. So especially yesterday, quite a bit of a sell down with quite a bearish candle actually showing up after the market has closed. I think we want to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more cautious, especially if you are holding onto this counter. Nonetheless, still a very, very good counter on many people's watch list, in many people's holdings. But I think what the key levels to look out for would be around the 220 level, the 220 level, if we are able to hold above this 220 level, where, you know, previously prices has consolidated a little bit from and then rebounded as well. So if we turn on our one good trend signals, I think it has covered what pretty much shown what I just said as well. We saw a little bit of selling come back in, you know, on the 2nd of January. 2nd of January, we actually saw that the 1GT bearish signal has actually came back in, followed by, you know, prices selling down quite a little bit closer to this 220 level that I've mentioned just now. So if we turn on our trailing support and resistance, you have seen that, you know, right here, as the prices started to head up, and then it broke below this trailing support. So if this trailing support that has already accounted for volatility is broken, so I mean that is a good sign that, you know, a little bit of selling could continue, come back in, and what we want to actually look out for would be if we are able to see, you know, prices stabilize close to this 220 level, and then we may see the 20 days moving average start to flatten out a little bit more, hopefully staying above the 100 and 200 days moving average as well. So that means, you know, you can actually see the 20 days moving average rebounding from the 100 and 200 days moving average, and where prices could head back up to this 260 level first, and potentially we could see a new 1GT bullish signal right here, something like this. But if you ask me if you're going to buy now, I would say, I think let's hold on. Let's see if this 220 level is able to hold before we make any further decisions. All right. Okay, so that's it for Apple. So I hope I answered the question for you, Alex. So Z, can you bring us through the next stock?
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me just share my screen. All right. Okay, so I think Janet is asking about SQ, AMD, and C, right? Probably I'll either let Bervyn or Joey cover some of the stocks there. I will cover SQ for now, okay? So SQ right over here would be block, right? Would be block. So Janet, so you see for this, right, over the past like year, starting from 2024, you know, we do see some up and down movement, but generally if we look at the longer term trend, right, the longer term trend is kind of like majority of the time is actually just going sideways, right? That's why we actually see kind of like a consolidation happening, but it's a wider consolidation that's happening. But right over here, somewhere in November, we actually see a 1GT bearish, bullish signal coming out, a 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? And this is where we also started to see the 20 days moving average gaining some strength, right? So the short term actually gained some strength and crossed above both 100 and 200 days moving average before, you know, a 1GT bearish signal came out right over here. So this was actually a pretty good run as well, right? It was somewhere about 50%, about a 50% run up. So that's a pretty good signal right over there. And then subsequently, we actually start to see, you know, prices going up and down, and majority of the time going sideways. And right now, right over here, just a couple of months ago, we actually do see 1GT bullish signal coming out over here. Let me just circle it for you guys. So this 3 bullish signal actually came out, right? So why did this first bullish signal actually come out? Let's just turn on the trailing support to have a look. So right over here on this day, which is 19th of September, right? Prices actually broke and closed above these trailing resistance line, right? Trailing resistance line, and that's why we actually see a 1GT bullish signal coming out. I mean, of course, the next few days, you know, selling pressure came back a bit, sellers came back a bit, push prices back down, but it is still actually holding above the trailing support line, which is still good, right? And subsequently, right over here on the 16th of October, we actually do see another 1GT bullish signal coming out. And why did this actually happen? Well, it's because if we turned on the horizontal support and resistance, this is where we see, you know, on this day, price actually closed it probably closed at or slightly above this red horizontal resistance line. And this is a good sign as well, right? Because firstly, price broke above the trailing resistance, and now second time it broke above a horizontal resistance. And of course, right over here again on the 6th of November, there is another 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right? Okay, let me just turn this off to not confuse you guys. Okay, so now where are we at now? Right, we are right over here, right? And we actually do see a 1 GT bearish signal coming up over here. It actually means that, you know, there's some selling pressure coming back. It doesn't mean that the stock will crash, like what Joey always mentioned, right? When we see a 1 GT bearish entry, don't panic, okay? It just means that there's some selling pressure returning. And if we also take a look at the 20 days moving average, I mean, 20 days moving average now, of course, is pointing down, right? I hope no one says that it's actually pointing up. It's obviously pointing down, right? But in terms of the longer term trend wise, it still look pretty okay and pretty decent, right? And if let's say I were to draw a support level, where would I draw the support level at? Right, probably right over here, right? Because this is where prices actually tested previously as a resistance, and it actually broke above it, and that's where we actually got a 1 GT bullish entry signal. So this is where I would draw my support level around the 56 psychological level. So if prices were to actually dip back to this level, perhaps you may consider to accumulate some positions. Not sure if prices will actually go back, but in terms of resistance, if let's say you are already holding on to this stock, right, definitely here is where you can consider to take some profits as well, perhaps take some partial profits. And if prices were to actually, you know, continue like this and it actually breaks above it, at least with your partial profits and you still have some partial holdings left, you can still continue to ride the uptrend upwards. All right, so that would be for block. Back to you, Joey.
All right, thank you so much. Let me go back and let's cover the next stock. So I have this stock right over here called Dell. I think one of you actually asked about Dell, right? Let me just go ahead to pull out. I think who is asking about Dell? I think I saw Dell somewhere. We have Edmund asking about Dell, right? So let's talk about Dell Technologies, right? The code is DELL, one of the US stocks, right? Pretty popular as well. And let's go to talk about it right now. Dell, all right? So this is Dell. You can see, guys, $110. $110. You can see that pretty good in 2024. We actually had a couple of bullish signals coming out. Look at this, right? This was in December 2023, right? Before the new year started, pump, right? And we got some really good bullish signals coming out, all the way up 119% in about 5-6 months. And look at these guys. So whenever you get like a bearish signal, as I mentioned, right? So how, you know, with an indicator, it just takes the whole emotions out of the picture. You don't have to think and hope and then wait and see how, right? Don't have to do that, right? So when you see a bearish signal, that's what we do as well. We want to think about getting out, reducing some exposure. If you're sitting on profits, please take some profits. Don't have to be greedy as well. All right. And you can see pump, right? And it starts going back down, right? Back down all the way by about 30%. So we want to get out, right? Of course, got a new bullish signal coming out, and off we end again. We started push up. You can see the green 20 days moving average line starting to point up again, right? So you have got in there, great, Edmund. I'm not too sure exactly where you bought it, or maybe you're thinking to buy right now, but let's take a look at right now. Should you buy or not? All right. So you can see somewhere around November, just about 2 months back, we got a bearish signal. All right. So it's the green line pointing down. Yes, it is still pointing down. So is the short-term trend down? Yes, the short-term trend is down. Is the longer-term trend up or down? Well, the longer-term trend is, you know, taking a look at the red and the blue line. So the longer-term trend, I would say in 2023 and 2024 was actually okay. It was actually up. But you can see right now, the red and the blue line, the red has kind of like gone below the blue. All right, both of them are a little bit sideways. So if you ask me the longer-term trend, right, is it up or down? I would say it's none. I would say it's not up, not down. It is sideways lah. All right, so longer term trend sideways, short term trend down. Should we buy? Probably not, right? As I said, we want to wait for, you know, a stock to be in a pretty strong long term uptrend, preferably, or at least the short term trend must be up, right? But it's down. So you can see we got a bearish signal. We have started to sell down by like 5 or 10% really right now. I think the 110 is a little bit of a support. I'm really not too sure whether this support will hold. But if we go below this support, we go below 110, all right? Whether you go to like 108 or 109 or 107 or 106, I mean below it, right? Not so good, right? We may see weakness. This bearish signal can play out. We may pull back all the way to the next support level. And that could be anywhere near the $90. I'm not saying that it will surely go to $90, but if If we just were to see some very firm price action below 110, well, that could be the selling, right? That could be the downside. Why? Because as I mentioned, the short-term trend is down, selling pressure is still there, sellers could take control again, take it back down to the next support level. Does it make sense? Edmund, I hope that makes sense. So you can see, guys, how, just by having like an indicator to guide you, not just to get in, but also when to get out. I think that's pretty important as well. Attend one of those free webinars to find out more. All right, the link is in the chat. I placed it in the chat already. Maybe team, you can just show the QR code. Some of you are like asking privately how to have this indicator and all that. Maybe we can just put the QR code. So you can scan the QR code, guys, if you're on your computer and stuff. You can use your phone to scan the QR code that we have over here, just to register your spot for the webinar that we have, to find out a little bit more the one good trend strategy, the framework, and also how perhaps you could have an indicator like this, all right, just to guide you on entry and exit. All right, so that is me, and that would be Dell, D-E-L-L. All right, so let's move on to the next stock by Bervyn. Back to you.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Joey. Just hold on for a second, everybody. Okay, so I think quite a few of you are asking about this Citigroup. Okay, so stock code is just C lah. I think Jessica was asking about it. I think Janet was also asking about it just now. All right, so this is Citigroup on my screen right now. Okay, so if we are looking at the overall trend, I think for Citigroup, there's quite a bit of a whipsaw going on, especially I think late of last year, especially. But I think in the more recent times, I think it's pretty clear that they have actually beat their earnings when they had reported it last week as well, or earlier this week. So if we are seeing that the longer term trend is still up with these three key points. The 20 days moving average is above the 100 days moving average, which is above the 200 days moving average. So there is a pretty clear sign that the longer term uptrend, even the nearer term trend, is still up as well. So I think that is a good start for anybody that is holding on to this counter. I think you'll be very, very keen on to see how high or how far can this rally go. So I think, since the low of August till now, we can see that, it has actually moved up about 45%. Pretty respectable gains. I mean, across 4 months, I think that is a pretty good run up already. So could this stock, actually head up higher? I mean, let's see, or let's take a look on our indicator. All right, see right here, as prices in August actually sold down. Prices in August actually had sold down after we had this 1 GT bearish signal that came in. The prices sold down towards the 52 level, 52, 53 level, support level, before it started to hit higher as well. And in October, we then saw a 1 GT bullish signal actually came back out, and prices started to consolidate a bit before another 1 GT bullish signal actually came out. And most recently, I think it's pretty clear here, there's another 1 GT bullish signal that actually came out. Why? So I think one of the key levels, or if you want to find out the key levels, using the horizontal support and resistance would be one that, you can actually see that prices had actually, hit higher, broke above this horizontal support, this 67, 68 level. Hence, there is a 1 GT signal that actually came out. And most recently, if we just turn off this horizontal support, okay, where can we see this trailing support heading to? It's heading higher, definitely, because in an uptrend, we tend to focus on a trailing support instead. And with that being said, I think with three signals, I think we could see this stock actually, potentially heading higher. Where to first? I think a psychological resistance is warranted at this 80 level first. So if this 80 level is broken, maybe perhaps then we could see the stock actually, head higher as well. So I think for those of you who are holding a stock, especially Jessica, I think one trick you can do to actually help yourself is to add an alert. Why? Is because you want to protect your profits, especially if you are holding on to this stock. So with this 1 GT indicator, you want to find out where we actually get this 1 GT bearish signal, or when it is out. Simply just add an alert, crossing, just change the condition to the 1 GT indicator, change it to a sell alert. Sell alert once per bar. Type in your alert, so you could be 1 GT bearish. signal appear. All right. And then once you create this alert, you will receive this notification on your mobile app, I think, which is very, very powerful, especially if you want to know when there's a bit of selling pressure that comes in, when to protect your profits. I think this is what you should do. I think the next thing to take note is will prices hit higher and where could it hit higher to? I think just using a very simple projection from the 70 level, I think we could actually see prices head towards, if it breaks above this 80 level, I think closer towards the 88, 90 level could be the next target that you could actually draw up towards. All right, so I think that's all for Citigroup. I hope that helps answer your question. I think, Z, can you take us through?
Thank you so much for sharing on this Citigroup. So Jessica, I hope you have a clearer idea. And I think Bervyn did mention a very good point as well. I think for Citigroup, based on what you've shared, we had three, not one, not two, but three, right, bullish signals, right, from the one good trend pro indicator. And you can see, right, the first signal came out somewhere in let me see, when did it come out, right? I think the first signal came out somewhere in like October, all right, October, just about 3 months back, all right, and we started to see that rally all the way up, and we have no bearish signal. And based on this, as I mentioned, I think Bervyn mentioned as well, you can actually set what we call an alerts, all right. So you might be thinking, hey, Joey, but do we have to like stare at the screen whole day and wait for the sell signal to come out, right? Well, you don't have to, right? You don't have to, or we don't do that as well. We actually set alerts such that if there are any bullish, right, or bearish signals, right, you will be alerted by an email, by an app notification, by a pop-up on the screen, and that's how it is, right? So that's how simple it is, right? So very powerful. So I think, guys, if you're keen to find out a bit more, just attend more of those free training, as I mentioned. That's where we share a bit more, perhaps how you could have access to this as well, right? To just guide you on getting in and also getting out. All right. Okay, good. So let me pass the mic back to Z. Maybe Z, what stock do you think is good to cover? Go ahead.
Okay. So I saw someone asking, where is it? I saw someone asking, Eugene. Eugene was asking about Meta, right? Eugene asking about Meta. Okay, so let's just take a look at the chart. Maybe just to interact with you guys a bit more, right? Maybe you guys can tell me, what do you think the trend is now? Is it up? Is it down? Sideways? What do you think the trend is? U for up, D for down, S for sideways. Just so that we can actually interact a bit more and make this session a bit more fun. Just let me know what do you think about the trend for Meta. Leong said U for up. Okay, anybody else? What are your thoughts for Meta, for the trend? Do you think it's up, down, or sideways? Anybody else apart from Leong? William said it is sideways. Okay, William said it's sideways. Leong said it up. Agnes also said it's sideways. Okay, let's take a closer look at the chart. Okay, so in terms of the longer term trend, we always look at the 100 days and the 200 days moving average, right? Which is this right over here, the red line. Oops, let me just highlight it. The red line and the blue line. So this red line and the blue line since 2024, actually it has been going up all the way, right? So longer term trend is up, right? But if we take a look and we zoom in a bit closer to where we are at right now, in terms of the short-term trend, I would say Agnes, yep, you are right. In terms of like the shorter-term trend, it seems to be going sideways for a bit, right? It has gone up here and then it has started to flatten out and head sideways for now, right? But in terms of the longer-term trend, it is definitely still intact. Okay, let's just take a look at some of the signals that actually came out. So since 2024 at the start, at the start of the year, we actually have one GT bullish entry right over here. Subsequently, we have two more bullish entry and the fourth one coming out before we actually see some selling pressure coming back in, right? And then after that, there's a couple more bullish entry right over here. The first one that actually came out was on the 9th of August, National Day, 9th of August, right over here. The first one actually came out, and I believe, most of you should be a bit familiar with this right now. Why the first signal came out is because it actually closed and broke above this thing called the trailing resistance line right over here. And then subsequently, right over here, we actually see another one GT bullish signal actually came out, right? And why this came out? Let's take a look. This came out because price broke once again, but this time not above the trailing line, it's above the horizontal resistance line. So first time broke above the trailing resistance, second time broke above the horizontal line. And then the third time it came out, it broke yet again above a horizontal resistance over here, right? So right now, we actually do not see any 1 GT bearish signal yet. The trend is actually still looking good, right? And we actually do see, you know, long-term trend is up, short-term trend is heading sideways, but we actually see 3 bullish signal coming out since August. So if some of you are thinking about entering, right, one of the things that you can actually make use of with this indicator is looking at the trailing support and resistance. So when we want to buy, we definitely want to buy in an uptrend, right? We don't want to buy in a downtrend because price can go lower, cheap can get cheaper, right? So we want to be on the right side of the trend, buy when the stock is actually in an uptrend, okay? So when you want to buy, you are looking at support zones, right? Near the support zone to buy. And when you actually turn on this trailing support level, we actually see this price, like what Joey and Bervyn mentioned a couple of times earlier on, prices always follow, right? If prices go up, the trailing support will always follow the prices up. And when we want to get in is somewhere near these support level right over here. Let me just draw some boxes for you guys, so that you guys can actually visualize it a bit better. Okay, so this would what we call a support zone, right? And we want to get in near the support zone, especially when prices are in an uptrend, right? So this could be a potential entry. And what you can do, you see like right over here, I already set an alert somewhere near the support zone, right? So like what Bervyn and Joey mentioned earlier on, just now Bervyn actually show you how to actually set the alerts for the technical indicator, right? So it actually shows you when the buy and sell alert actually comes out. So for this, in this case, yes, you can still do that as well. But at the same time, you can also set price alert. So maybe I can set my price alert near this support, trailing support level, which is in the support zone, right? To alert me when prices actually hit back down to the level, that's where I can potentially accumulate on the dips. Okay. And in terms of resistance, for those who are actually already holding on to this position, this is where we actually see some selling pressure returning, right? Why? Because somewhere in December, we actually see over here, you know, it actually near this 640 psychological resistance, selling pressure start coming back in and to push price back down. But it is still looking good, right? Because it is still actually holding above the trailing support. It is still currently holding above the trailing support. So if those of you who are in still holding some positions when actually prices near this psychological resistance of about 640, perhaps that's where you can consider to take some profits as well. Maybe your full position, if you have been holding on, you know, since like August, right? If you have been holding on since August, somewhere here to about here, that's about a good 30%, right? But if you want to continue to ride the uptrend, you can also take partial profits as well. All right. So that would be for Meta.
Okay, thank you so much, Z. I think very, very good note by Z that, you know, because of this indicator whereby we are able to pull out the trailing support, right? That, you know, as I mentioned, it gives a stock or any asset classes allowance for the stock to actually move higher, hopefully, all right? And as long as you stay above it, it's good. And if we were to dip near the trailing support, while all the other confirmations, the short-term trend is still, you know, up, you know, sideways, but it's not down. Well, that could be an opportunity as well to kind of like get in, to time your entry, all right? Especially if we do see some of those more bullish candlesticks over there. Okay, that's a little more advanced stuff, right? As I say, attend all those free webinars, but essentially, if it does dip near those, you know, trailing support zones, right, whereby you're still holding, there could be a potential entry to ride it back up, to ride the reversal, maybe all the way back to the original resistance. If we break that resistance, we may see a bullish signal coming out again. We may push higher again. So good note there, all right. And I think Z has mentioned as well, you know, based on this trailing support, you're able to set like what we call an alert, price alert, so that if it does dip there, you will be alerted. You know when to get in when the time comes, rather than staring at the screen holding and see whether it hits there, right? It doesn't happen that way, right? We don't do that as well. All right. Okay, so let me move on. Let me move on right now and cover maybe the next stock. And that would be this company called AMD. All right, AMD. I think some of you asked about AMD. I think Lim Wei, you asked about AMD. Janet, you asked about AMD as well. I think Janet, SQZ has covered on SQ. just now. I think that's blocked. All right, so a couple of you asking about AMD. So go ahead, guys, to type in the chat if you have any stocks that we have not yet covered. Okay, I tell you what, let me just do a quick overview because some of you are just joining us right now. You're a little bit lost. You have no idea why we're talking to you. What's this whole session about, right? So let me just do a quick overview before I cover the next stock. That'll be AMD, right? So essentially, guys, this is the Ask Me Any US Stock session, all right? And what happens is that every week, we try to do it every week, every Friday at 10:30 a.m. We'll do this session talking about ask me anything, all right? Ask me any stock. So today will be US. Last Friday, if you have joined us, is Singapore. Next Friday, yeah, we'll play that. Next Friday will be on the Singapore stocks again. Maybe team, if you have the link, I just type in the chat, guys, the link, so that maybe we can share with you guys maybe the link to join us in the next Ask Me Any Singapore Stocks live session, all right? Next Friday, all right? Next Friday. So do join us then. So I think we're 1 week US, 1 week Singapore, Singapore, US, Singapore, US. All right, we just do that alternate, all right? Alternate weeks, and this pretty much will happen. So let me just go ahead to share with you guys today the US stocks that we have covered so far. All right, the US stocks that we've covered so far. So that is the link in the chat, guys. The link for the next session on Friday. Next Friday. What date would that be? I think that would be on the 24th of January, next Friday. Today is 17th, right? So next Friday is 24th Jan. Join us at 10:30 a.m. If you're asking about the Singapore stocks, that is the opportunity. But today, it is US stocks. So we have covered, like, let me go ahead to cover what we have covered. We did the S&P500 index, right? A very quick market outlook, what has happened, where are we right now, should we get in? We did that, right? Then we talk about the stocks that you guys were asking about. The first stock would be Tesla. Number 2, NVDA, all right? Number 3, we have Adobe, ADBE, covered by Z. Of course, we have a Palantir, that's number 4. We have Apple, AAPL, that's number 5, right? And we have number 6, Block. The code is SQ, that's covered by Z as well. Number 7, I did it, I covered Dell, right? One of those stocks that people ask as well. Number 8, we have City Group, covered by Bervyn. Number 9, which is just what has happened, and that is Meta Platform. Z just did it. So this is number 10 right now, all right? And what will I be doing? Let's take a look at AMD, all right? Advanced Micro Device. I think Janet, you're asking about it as well. Lim Wei asking about AMD. Maybe for CRW, we will do another time, all right? But let's just do AMD right now. So this is AMD, right? Advanced Micro Devices. So you can see, guys, I have already turned on. I can turn it off. I can turn it off if you want, right? So with a click of a button, just, it's just like, the moving averages and stuff. But with a click of a button, get a quick opinion based on the signals that comes out. Of course, you have a bullish green signal, a bearish red signal that comes out. You want to be a bit more careful. So let's see what it says. And I'll not go too far, but look at it, right? I think since June's, maybe 2023, we've got some bearish, and then all the way down. Oh, this was pretty good. Look at this, right? This was in like 2023, 2 bullish signals, all the way up, all right? And I think that would be like a gain. Oops, sorry. I think my screen is not added to... All right, okay, good. So it's now there. So you can see right over here. So this is Advanced Micro Devices. All right, apologies for that. So you see right over here that we have some bullish signals right over here in November 2023, all right? And we saw the move all the way up right over here, and some bearish signals come up. So when you see a bearish signal, a red bearish signal, probably good to take some profit to get up, because we can see a reverse. Look, every time we got a bearish signal, it starts going down. So let me just zoom in right to where we are right now. So Lim Wei and also Janet, right, asking about AMD. Let's see, right? So we had let's see, right? So you can see right now that what do you guys think? I mean, should we think about buying right now? I think probably not. Why? So there are about 3 or 4 confirmations why I say not buy. Well, the first thing is that you can see that obviously the longer term trend, all right, which was up, right? So in 2022, 2023, 2024 as well, longer term trend was up. But you can see that over the past few months, well, the rate 100 days moving average has turned down below the 200 days moving average. The red line is below the blue line. Does it make sense? So the longer term trend is down, right? It's down, all right? And we had some bearish signals coming out in October, not just last week or last month, I guess, in October, all right? And you can see after getting that bearish signal, did we actually sell down? Did we see more weakness? Well, the answer is yes. We have sold off by about 29% already. Right? Could it be 30 or 40 or 50%? I don't know, right? But is the bearish signal still here? Well, it's still showing, right? And is the 20 days moving average line still pointing down, the green line? Yes, it is pointing down as well. So the short-term trend is down. We got some bearish signals. The longer-term trend is down as well. 3 or 4 confirmations. So probably not want to buy. We normally don't want to hold on to stocks whereby, you know, they have just bearish signals. And not only that, all the trends, you know, is starting to point, I mean, not starting, but has already pointed down and is still pointing down. There are no signs of a reversal yet. All right. So this is AMD. We only want to think about getting in, all right, if we were to see like a bullish signal, all right, like something like this. We see a bullish signal, maybe the green line flattens out, we see a reversal as well in short-term trend. Well, that could guide us to get in, but maybe not now, all right. So I hope that helps in terms of the signals that we have on AMD, all right, to guide you. I think we have some questions. Well, let me just do it to answer some questions before passing on the mic to Bervyn. So let's see, right? Frederick, you have some questions. Hey, by the way, guys, if you have any questions, right, I know this is ask me any US stock. So I think all of you are typing out your stocks with Apple, Meta, Palantir, Dell, and all that, right? Great stuff. Go to type in the stocks. But if you have any questions as well, guys, we want to make sure to answer your questions. Like Frederick over here, questions. Type it in the chat. We'll do our best to answer your questions as well. All right. So let me go to answer Frederick's question. Can your 1 GT, all right, very good, be useful for option trading? Very good question. Thank you so much, Frederick, for the question. I hope you're still over here. But I think that's a really fantastic question. So basically, the one good trend strategy, I mean, as I mentioned, right, if you want to understand a bit more on the framework, we don't have time to cover it. You want to understand more on the framework, attend more of the free webinars. But essentially, based on this framework, we come out with the one good trend pro indicator, right? With a click of a button, as I mentioned just now, pump on, off, all right? It comes out with signals. It guides you what to do, whether to get in, to get out. Of course, if you see a bearish, as I say, please don't rush to get in, all right? So it guides you in seconds, all right? And we are talking about the underlying stocks, right? Whether is it Apple or Meta or AMD or NVDA or Tesla. We're talking about the underlying stock. And if you talk about options, I think some people might be even more experienced in options, right? It's called, you know, you have a call options, you have a put options. Well, whether options or these are just what we call tools or platforms like CFD, warrants, options, DLCs, you know, more leverage products. That is good as well, nothing wrong, but it all boils down to the underlying stock. That doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're trading Apple, then yeah, you want to trade the options of Apple, but you still need to look at how Apple looks. Does it make sense? I mean, you still need to know how the underlying stock do, whether is it Tesla or Apple or Microsoft. You need to understand how the underlying stock is doing, right? So if you're looking to buy a call option, well, you want Apple stock to move up fast. So you want to make sure that Apple stock can really move up fast. I mean, based on the bullish or bearish signals. Does it make sense? So even before you do any option stuff, so I think good questions whereby, you know, is it useful option trading? The answer is 100% yes, because if you can't even understand, right, the underlying stock, whether it's going up or down, whether it's, you know, moving sideways or what, right, then if you do options like that, I think that could really be very dangerous. So probably not, right? So I hope that answers the question. The answer is yes, definitely you want to understand how you know, the underlying stock works, or whether is it weak or strong, just by looking at the signals, and it can guide you definitely in your options position, whether you're taking a call option, you're taking a put options, you're looking to sell some options for income as well. Definitely you want to know how this you know, how the stock is doing. Does it make sense? All right, so that is Frederick. All right, so I think we have pretty much yeah, I've covered AMD. So let me just pass on the mic to let's see, who should I pass on the mic to? Bervyn.
Okay, Ken.
Yep.
So okay, so I think just now somebody was asking about this counter Kodak. I think they're not on my watch list, but I think it's worth a look. I think we see in the recent years, or in starting 2024, quite a few 1GT bullish signal actually came in, but you know, at times there's some sellers that actually came in. You know, prices actually got pushed down a bit, pushed down a bit. So quite a volatile stock. Don't you agree? So if we look in the nearer term trend in that sense, we actually saw, you know, prices actually broke above this key $6 level that was pretty much held under the whole of 2024 until the late of 2024. You know, prices actually went up, you know, tested it, came back down, went up, tested it, came back down, went up, consolidated, but still came back down. And only recently, somewhere in November, we actually saw that, you know, the resistance actually gave way, which made it into a support right now. And prices actually rebounded from this support. I think in the past few days, that is last Friday, 10 Jan, it actually rebounded from this support as well. So I would say this is pretty much a very key support that we need to see prices hold above, in order for the uptrend to continue forming, because I think we're still in the very early stages of any uptrend. We want to see signs that this uptrend can continue to form as well. So I think in the near term, a little bit of consolidation, because the 20 days moving average is a little bit flat, moving sideways a little bit, and we are kept under the $7.50 level as well. So if we for some of you who are unable to draw this support and resistance or horizontal support and resistance line, I think the one good trend indicator can do it for you as well. So you see, it actually went close to the resistance level a few times that I've drawn just now, and right now, look right here, there is a horizontal resistance that had actually show up around the 750 to 770 level, which you may expect a little bit of profit taking to come in as well there. Okay, so if we turn that off and we look at our trailing support lines, so obviously with the 1 GT bullish signal right here, as the prices go above the trailing resistance, actually saw the trailing support started to hit higher a little bit. Right now, with the account of volatility, that is why we actually saw that the trailing support is quite far away from the current prices. This is to give the stock some space to breathe as it moves because of the volatility of the stock. So if we are looking to get in, or if you are looking to say protect your profits for this counter, I think the key level to watch out for will be slightly under the $6 level, because of course, if this trailing support is broken, that's where you will see a 1 GT bearish signal. You don't want to have a situation where you're actually sitting on some gains and then it becomes losses as well. So I think it will be completely okay, because we actually saw that prices tested this level, came down. It'll be completely okay to also take some profit close to this 750, 770 level. And let's not be greedy. If you want to take some of your profit, half of your profit, that will be completely okay, as you can continue to ride the trend with the remaining stock, remaining holdings you have as well. All right, so I think that's pretty clear for Kodak. I think just the key levels to watch out for, but volatility for this stock is rather high as well, so just take note of that. All right, okay, Z, can you bring us through the next one?
Okay, sure.
Okay, before Z continue, I just wanted to answer this question. So Peter, I think your question is is your 1GT good for coin trading? So I believe you're talking about Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, right? So very good question. The answer is yes, right? Not just stocks, not just US stocks, not just Singapore stocks, whether it's your Tesla, Apple, DBS, UOB, crypto and Bitcoin, whatever, Ethereum, right? Yes, it has as well. So maybe Peter, later maybe we can cover some of the coins as well if you want. Just type in the chat, Peter, what is some of the coins that you're looking at, and then we'll look at the coin later. All right, Z, go ahead. Do you continue? Yep.
Okay, so I saw somebody typing this William, right? William typing wolf. Actually, I don't really know what is this counter, because I just saw that it's wolf and I like animals, so I just chose this this stock. But okay, let's no worries. Let's just take a look at it. But maybe before that, we can also just FYI trading view. If let's say I don't really know what this stock is, it allows me to tell me, okay, this is in the electronic technology sector. It's doing semicon. Okay, but no worries. Let's take a look at how the stock is. And what's the trend looking like right now, right? So for, who is this? William, right? William. And also for the rest of you here, right? What do you guys think of this trend? Do you think that it's in an uptrend, or do you think it's a downtrend? For me, I would see it as definitely it's in a downtrend. Now, if anybody tell me that this is in an uptrend, maybe you can take a closer look at it again, okay? So why is it in a downtrend? Number one, if we don't draw anything, we just look at the moving average, right? We can clearly tell because the 200 days moving average is above the 100 days moving average and above the 20 days moving average, right? That's the first thing. And then the second thing that we notice is that this is actually happening, right? What is actually happening? There is actually higher lows. So we actually see price forming higher lows. And if I were to draw something like that, this is what we actually call a downward sloping channel resistance line, okay? So when we actually see these and we actually see the moving averages, we can tell that the downtrend for this counter wolf is actually definitely still intact. Okay, it's definitely still intact. But let's just take a look at the signals as well. Okay, so for the signals, right over here somewhere in August 2023, we actually have a 1 GT bearish signal, right? And this is where we also see that the 20 days moving average crosses below the 100 days moving average as well. And then what actually happens is, let me just draw this, price actually went down by about almost 52%. Yeah, price actually went down by almost 52%. Okay, and then subsequently, what actually happens is that, I mean, of course, when it's in the downtrend, it doesn't mean that there is no short-term strength as well. There could be short-term strength in a downtrend, whereby we know we actually saw some buying pressure return, but prices actually did not break above this previous high, right? You actually make a lower high instead. And this is where we actually see another 1 GT bearish signal coming out, followed by another 1 GT bearish signal. So just now we were talking about 1 GT bullish signal, right? And 1 GT bullish signal comes out because it breaks above either a trailing resistance or it breaks above a horizontal resistance. But on the flip side, what actually happens is, if prices actually break below a horizontal support, that is where we can also see a 1 GT bullish, a 1 GT bearish signal coming out. Okay, a 1 GT bearish signal coming out in this case, right? And then price actually went down even lower, and here we actually subsequently see more 1 GT bearish signal coming out as well. All right, so as of now, I would say that, you know, right here we actually even see the latest one, we actually even see two 1 GT bearish signal, plus the trend is actually still definitely down, right? It's still intact down. And you know, right over here we actually see, perhaps we can actually see some support at around this 450 to about this $4 psychological support right over here. So if prices were to actually break below this level, that's where you want to be a bit more careful. Like at this point in time, definitely we do not want to think of buying because the trend is still down. We only want to think about buying when the trend is up, right? So what we want to look out for is to see if price can actually hold above this $4 psychological level, and the moving average for the 20 days starts to flatten out and points up first, right? And points up first. But of course, ideally, what we also want to see is this actually happening, right? So the 100 days moving average can actually cross above the 200 days moving average to show that there is actually some signs of reversal going on. But at this point in time, if I were to remove all of this, at this point in time, there's still no signs of reversal yet. There is 1 GT bearish signal right over here. All right, so that would be Wolf. I hope that helps, William. I'll pass the time back to Joey to do a next stock.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next stock. All right, so this is like stock number 12 Z has done. I'm moving to stock number 13. All right, and that would be Microsoft, MSFT. I think Leong, you're asking about Microsoft and also AVGO. Let's just do MSFT first. Microsoft, one of the very popular blue chip US stocks as well. And I think we have some questions as well. So guys, if you have any questions, go ahead to type it in the chat. So while we are covering some of the stocks, maybe we can also, answer your questions. I think, Young, your question is like, for this, right? What does the trailing support area mean? Very good question. We'll come to that in a bit. So let's see, right? Prafu, Joey, can you explain again how to set buy and sell? Set buy and sell. Are you talking about the buy and sell signals like right over here, Prafu? I'm not too sure what you mean, but essentially we don't set this. I mean, we can just turn it on and off. I mean, based on my proprietary One Good Trend Pro indicator, and it just comes out, right? And, as I say, you want to find out a bit more, Prafu, attend one of those free webinars, to find out a bit more. Perhaps you could have this as well, and to guide you to get in and get out. So we don't actually, I mean, of course, all this has been programmed and stuff, but so we don't actually, it's not like I draw it there, it's just a click of a button, pump, right? And pump, right? And it comes out. I hope that helps, Prafu. All right. Okay. Let's answer like Leong, what does the trailing support area mean? I think it's a very good question. Let me explain to you. So let's talk about Microsoft. I mean, since we are talking about Microsoft right now, so you can see, right, Microsoft for this right over here, somewhere around like October 2023, right? We got this bullish signal coming out, right? The longer term trend is up. We got a bullish signal. The short term trend, the green 20 days moving average line started to turn up as well, right? And if I can just turn on, maybe just to explain what we call the trailing support line right over here, you can see, right, that the trailing support line forms, right? It pops up and it follows Microsoft as it moves up, all right? Does it make sense? So what does this trailing support area means, right? Very good question. So basically, for this trailing support, Leong, what happens is that, we account for volatility and we put it a factor below prices. But you can see this green line, all right, follows the price as it moves up. It accounts for volatility, right? It gives it allowance and breathing space for it to move up, right? And as long as we stay above it, or maybe even near it, right, there could be an opportunity to get in, all right, to accumulate on dips, especially if the short-term trend is up. Does it make sense? All right, so that's what this trailing support area means. It accounts for that breathing space whereby, as long as the stock is good, we are, it looks bullish still, we will be above it. But of course, after giving it allowance and stuff, and we were to go below the trailing support, then it's a bit not so good. It could be a bit shaky. We might be seeing a bit of weakness in the short term. Maybe get out first, take some profit, and maybe wait to get back in again, when we see a new bullish signal. Does it make sense? Right, Leong, I hope that answers the question. Okay, so I hope, that answers the question. So let me go to maybe look at Microsoft right now to see what it says. So let me just turn it off. I don't want to turn on everything. It might be too messy. All right, so let's take a look at Microsoft. So before we talk about where we are, so you can see, right, a couple of good bullish signals right over here. I think from this all the way to this, another bullish signal here, 26% in about 5-6 months, right? Came down, so I see a bearish signal, right? Green line points down. There we go. We went down. Wait for it. There it come again, right? Pump, another bullish signal, another 10% in about 1 month, right? So when you see a bearish signal, a bit shaky, right? This is where you can see a bit of weakness. And let's take a look at where we are right now. So I would say that, over the past like 5 to 6 months for Microsoft, it is a bit of a sideways trend from the longer term. Why do I say that? So you can see the red and blue line in 2023, 2024. Look at the red and blue line. I mean, obviously, it's uptrend lah. But if you look at the red and the blue line right now, you can see that both of them is like a bit sideways. Correct? Right? The red and blue is sideways. So a bit of a longer term sideways trend. Nothing wrong. I mean, it just means it's consolidating in the longer term, right? A bit of a sideways direction. And while it is consolidating in the longer term, you can see that the short term is like up and then down, up and down, up and down, right? You can see it's like, and then each time you go up, you got bearish, then come back down, got bullish, then go up, down. And over the past, few weeks, we got another bearish signal, and now it's coming down again. Does it make sense? All right, so we can potentially perhaps draw this support level. I would say that this would be maybe the support level, the $400. The $400 would be a support level. I mean, that we have been holding above it since August for like about 5 months now, right? 4 to 5 months now. Resistance, if we can draw it, maybe right over here. Let's just put about 470, right? 470. I think that would become like the range, right? From about 400 to 470, 460. Maybe about right over here, right? So 400 to 470, right? So sideways, we got a bearish signal. It might be going down a little bit, but I think don't want to rush. But I think if it approach the zones near that 400 to 410 to 420, right? We see the green line starting to flatten out. Well, that could be an opportunity to think about maybe getting in again. All right, to think about getting in, maybe to, if you want more confirmation, you could wait for some bullish signals, and that's where you can see it started to push up as well. All right, so I think that is Microsoft. Right, I think it looks sideways for now in the longer term, and that's where you don't want to rush. You can think about getting in on dips, maybe near some of those next support levels. All right, so that is for Microsoft. Okay, next, Bervyn, go ahead.
Sure, thanks, Joey. So I think, Leong, your second stock they're asking for is actually AVGO or Broadcom. I think this is one of the other stocks, or one of the other stocks that's in the semicon sector that I think many people are actually asking about as well. So I think at the same time, maybe I can answer Prafu's question about what I meant was setting alerts for buy and sell signals lah. Can Prafu just hold on. So once I finish this stock, I will show you how to set the alerts based on the analysis as well. Okay, so just hold on tight there. Okay, so with that being said, this is Broadcom right here. I think it's very, very clear since 2024, the uptrend was intact. So if we are looking since the start of 2024, to the peak, it's a very, very cool 140% gain, 140% gain. Very respectable gains in 1 year. I think we can continue to look at this counter, but why? Why are we going to continue looking at this counter? Look at the 100 and 200 days moving average. I think everybody here can agree very clearly that it is still pointing up, and the 20 days moving average has been consistently rebounding very, very close to this 100 days moving average. So I think the buyers are actually, or the traders are actually looking at these key levels, or these 100 days moving average, to actually determine whether they should get in for this counter as sellers start to come in as well. So I think very clearly we can see 1, 2 right here, 2 bullish signals that had come out, not very far apart from each other, but I think one very clear one will be this one right here, the one on top here that we actually want to look at right now. Why did this bullish signal actually come out? This bullish signal actually came out as prices, if we turn on the horizontal support, the prices actually broke above, firmly broke above the horizontal resistance previously, and that's when we actually get this 1 GT bullish signal that actually came out. With right now, I think the clear support would be around this 220 level, where it rebounded once, twice, 3-4 days ago rebounded from the same night. There's a little bit of selling, but the 20 days moving average is flattening out. So that's a good sign. We could enter a consolidation phase. I mean, perhaps the range we could be around this 220 to about this, perhaps I would say about this 250 level first, where prices can consolidate, move a little bit sideways before actually heading higher. So which leads to what Prafu was asking. Do you want to set a signal? If you want to set a signal that this 251 is broken, you want to receive a signal, simply just right click on your trading view chart, right click, and then add alert. All right, I think the shortcut is Control A, but you can just right click and set alert. So if you just want a price alert, very simply just leave everything the same price, crossing the value of 250 only once. So upon the first breakout, you will receive it, and then you can just set an alert name AVGO cross 250 resistance level. All right, then create. Okay, so once created, you will receive a notification, depending on how you set your notification, when prices reach this 250. Likewise, if you want to set, or say if you are now currently holding onto this counter and you want to set, say for example, the 1 GT bearish signal, you can choose the sell. If you want a buy signal, you can put the buy alert. Or if you want both, either of the signals appear, just select buy or sell. Choose the trigger as once per bar, and then just key in your alert. So AVGO 1 GT signal. Okay, so that is how you actually do it. All right, so so for AVGO coming back, I think the 2 levels are key. First level you could watch out for if you potentially want to accumulate on the dips will be, I believe, about the 220, and then if you are looking to take profit, perhaps close to the 250 level. If you're looking for a breakout, and that you'll be above the 250 level. All right, Leon. Okay, so I think that answers for Broadcom. Maybe I'll pass the mic to Z now.
Okay, thanks, Bervyn. Let me just share my screen quickly. Okay, so now let's do MSTR, right? Joshua was asking about MSTR, which is MicroStrategy. Okay, so for just a quick one, for MicroStrategy, I mean, we actually start seeing the longer term uptrend heading up somewhere in early of Feb, right? It was actually pointing up, but in terms of the shorter term trend, we actually do see some up and down for a couple of months, right? Probably about 6 months from March to September, it was actually kind of like consolidating within this range. But the longer term uptrend actually still looks good, right? It only then exploded somewhere in October and prices rallied all the way up to about 543, right? 543 about there. And over here, right? When price actually exploded, what we can actually observe is that number one, the 20 days moving average has firmly crossed above the 100 days moving average, and it continued to head up, right? It's not like this, it goes up, then come down, goes up, come down, but this one, it goes all the way up, right? And the 100 days and 200 days moving average are still pointing up and still looking decent, right? And right over here, we actually also do see 1 GT bullish signal coming out right over here, right? And if we actually turn on the trailing support and resistance, let's take a look. So over here, right over here on the 23rd of September, on this, let me just zoom in a bit more. Okay, on this candle right over here on the 23rd of September, that's when price actually closed slightly above the trailing resistance, which why we saw this 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right? And subsequently, that's another one, and prices went all the way up. Trailing support trails the price all the way up as well. Okay, and recently, we actually see a 1 GT bullish, bearish signal coming out, right? So if let's say you were to enter here, congrats. If you were to enter somewhere in September, you know, you have made a very decent profit of, you know, if you exit somewhere about here, that will be about almost 150% decent profits, right? So right now, we actually see a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, right? And prices is actually trading below this trailing resistance line. And in terms of that, if we look at the shorter term trend, right, which is the 20 days moving average, if you look at just the green line on its own, it is actually pointing downwards, which is not so good, right? Not so good. But I mean, of course, the longer term trend still looks great. It's still heading up. So if let's say we are looking at a support level, I would say somewhere around here, maybe 280 to about 300 level, this could be a psychological support, right? Could be a psychological support where buyers actually can come back in to accumulate on the dips, right? But what we actually want to see, is this 20 days moving average stabilize a bit first, you know, like don't keep going down, right? Because now it's still pointing down. But what we want to see is 20 days moving average starts to hit sideways first, then it points up. That is actually what we want to see, right? That is actually what we want to see when we are trying to get into a stock and when we want to buy in an uptrend. So right now, the short-term strength still not looking so good, but maybe what you can do is to set a price alert somewhere near the support at around $300 psychological level. So I'm not sure if price will actually head back down to the level for you guys to buy, or perhaps maybe it might even head back down and it breaks below this 300. So if it does break below this 300, what we can potentially see is that the 100 days moving average might start to flatten out a bit as well. Okay, so perhaps for MSTR, you want to take note of this 300 psychological level, to take note of it as well. And perhaps you can also, like what Bervyn mentioned, to set some alerts, right? To set an alert for a 1 GT bullish signal, to alert you when there is a 1 GT bullish signal coming out. Okay, so that would be for MSTR, and I'll pass the time back to Joey.
Okay, thank you so much, Z. All right, so now we've gone on, guys, for about 1.5 hours already. So maybe we can just do one final round, or maybe just 3 more. So I think thank you so much. I think those of you who are here, and by the way, guys, I mean, if you have got value so far, right? If you have got value so far out of the stocks that we have covered, thanks Prafu, thanks Young as well, gotten a clear understanding. Just type V for value, guys, or type Y for yes if you've got some value so far. All right, hopefully we have covered the stocks that you guys were asking about. And we do appreciate you staying here as well all the way. Just like V for value, guys. If you've got value, all right, if you've got value so far, so that it will encourage us to keep on doing this, all right? Just like V for value. Let's see, right? If you've got value, let me know, all right? Especially if you have covered your stock, right? Okay, let's see. Thank you so much. We have Alex as well, Vivian, Alex, V, awesome. Thank you, V. Okay, very good. So very simple, guys, all right? As I say, at the end of this Ask Me Any US Stocks live show, we'll share with you some of the stocks that is in our watch list. So me, Bervyn and Zee, we will each share one US stocks that perhaps you could put in your watch list as well. So make sure you stay all the way to the end. All right, but right now, maybe I can go on to the next stock, right? The next stock that perhaps who was asking about, let's see, right? This was the stock that is KO, Clam, right? Clamco, you're asking about KO, right? Okay, very good. So this is KO right now. Let me go to share my screen, all right? And let's see, right? So this is KO right over here at about 62.25, right? 62.25. So very quickly, I'll just do a very quick run through. I think by now you guys have a better understanding of how perhaps just by turning on like an indicator, all right, by having bullish and even bearish signals to guide you. So you can see for KO, well, was a pretty good move, I would say, since like 2023, 2024, a couple of good bullish signals right here. It started pushing higher. A bearish one, it just came down a little bit. And I think this was a very powerful one right over here. We got two bullish signals in April last year, right? April last year, just before it really started to move up, right? It really started to move up. And if I can show you why we had this bullish signal, I mean, I can draw it manually for you right over here. You can see that there was actually a very key resistance at the $60. The $60. It was a very key resistance for like 5 months, 6 months. Came down. We just couldn't get above 60. Does it make sense? All right, right over here. And finally, you can see two bullish signals came out. We attempted to break the 60. Of course, green line, it was like flat, moving sideways, also started to turn up. Does it make sense? And there we go. This is Coca-Cola, not some penny stocks or what, right? And there we go for Coca-Cola, all the way up here, 18% in just about 5 months, all right? And of course, we got a bearish signal. I'll talk about that in a bit, but it was a very good move up. And let me just turn on, to show you why we had this. Okay, so this is what I draw, right? But actually, I don't have to draw it. We can actually turn on maybe even the horizontal support and resistance level. You can see, so right over here, you can see that we actually broke above this horizontal resistance line. So if I click a button, as I mentioned as well, right, we could just turn on quite a bit of things to get an understanding of what actually happened. All right, so I can off it, on it, off it, on it. And you see right over here, if I turn it on, yes, it did break this very key horizontal resistance. And that's where the bullish signal came out. And if I turn on the trailing support and resistance, same thing. You can see we actually attempted right over here. We broke the trailing resistance as well. All right, that give it an allowance whereby, if you stay below, it's not so good, but we break above it, especially with the green line also pointing up. Good stuff. All right, that's where we saw that reversal. Right, so let's take a look at what has happened right now. So we got a bearish signal, I would say, since like October. Well, a little bit of weakness. Funds shifted, back to the tech sector. Some of the more defensive stocks came down as well. And look at it, after this bearish signal, that's where we started to see selling. All right, so if I can turn on perhaps the trailing support and resistance, you can see after getting this bearish signal, it flipped, right? It flipped from a trailing support. Now we have a trailing resistance, right? Why? Well, because now it is kind of like pushing lower. So this trailing resistance is pretty much the opposite. It follows the stock or any asset classes as it moves down, right? The lower it goes, the more it follows. It's like a stalker, right? It's like following as it goes down. So hopefully one fine day, we will get above it, right? Now it's still here, right? So we're going to get above it. We get above it. Great. That's where we would have a bullish signal coming out. There will be a confirmation that buyers are starting to come back. All right. We're not just going lower and lower, but we are actually attempting to break and stay above the trailing resistance. So a bit more negative, a bit more bearish for now. This story looking at it staying below this red trailing resistance. All right. And of course, the green line, is it up or down? Well, unfortunately, it is still down. So if you ask me right now, maybe don't want to buy. So we try not to just buy, because it's cheap, right? We want to buy only when there are clear signs of a reversal, or maybe we see a bullish signal, or maybe the green line starts to point up. All these are all confirmations that we're looking out for to make that move, right? To know when to get in, right? Rather than just buying because it's cheap, right? Because it can, it was cheap here, and then it became cheaper. Does it make sense? So we don't buy because it's cheap, right? We want to get in based on a proven strategy to only get in when there are clear signs of a reversal, or maybe a stock that is really strong, all right, in an uptrend. We got bullish signals previously. Well, that is fine as well. All right, so that is KO. That's KO, Coca-Cola. All right, Coca-Cola company. I think that is by Clem. All right, Clem. So I hope that helps, Clem. All right, and let's move on to the next stock. Bervyn, back to you.
All right. Okay. So the next stock I have on my list will be, I think, Milo asked this, LLY, Eli Lilly and Company. So this is one of those mega pharma companies that is in the US market. So I think it's quite, I think in the recent times, most especially after the run up, in 2024, we actually saw a little bit of a weakness came in close to this 960 level, where sellers actually came in, pushed prices down, where it see a little bit of a support at the 720 level where it was previously a support as well. Okay, so right, previously you saw prices rebounded from this level and before it headed higher, came close to it here before it rebounded once again, and we are back at this level once again. But I think the key thing to take note for this, key thing to take note for Eli Lilly will be that, you know, right here, the 100 days moving average has started to slope down, and it's getting very, very close to this 200 days moving average. What we do not want to see would be that this 100 days moving average, cross below these 200 days moving average. That will mean that, the counter is potentially will be in a downtrend because selling pressure could continue. I think without saying much, I think you can see that the 20 days moving average had previously already crossed below the 100 and 200 days moving average. So I mean, those are signs that you need to be a little bit more careful, to as to which whether you want to get it for this counter or not. So if we turn on our 1GT signal, you actually saw that right here, sometime in late October, there was a 1GT bearish signal that actually came in as prices broke lower. So that's not what we actually hope to see as well, because prices had actually broke below the trailing support line and continued to head lower. So I mean, to reiterate what Joey said very, very early on, it doesn't mean when you see a 1GT bearish signal, the stock will crash all the way down. But I think it's a very clear signal here that there was selling pressure that actually came back in. And recently, the most recent 1GT bullish signal actually came above when prices started to hit higher towards where I think in the near term, this will be a key resistance level, the 840 level. I think this is one that you can actually potentially look out for if prices are finally able to break above this level and firmly, hold above this level. Yeah, will you agree that that will be a clear sign that there will be a potential reversal back into a uptrend, especially for the near term. So I think that is a very, very clear sign that weakness could still be present because of this 1GT bearish signal. So I think, Milo, if you are going to look at this counter, I think perhaps maybe not get in right now. Watch out to see if the 20 days moving average start to flatten out and then starting to point back up. And as you approach the 840 level, maybe that's where you can set some alerts to let yourself know that maybe there's some near-term strength. That's potentially where you could actually get in for a better position yourself to ride a trend. All right, okay, so that's it for LLYZ. Can you take us through the next one, please?
All right. Okay, let me just share my screen. I think Clem was asking about Google, right? So Google, I believe everybody know about Google, and all of us are actually using Google. A lot of us are using Google as well. So Google, if you take a look at this, uptrend definitely still intact, right? Like what I mentioned many times prior to this is that 20 days above 100 days above 200 days, and the 200 days moving averages as well as the 100 days moving averages are all pointing up. Pointing up since when? Let's take a look. Actually, since 2023 in May, where we saw the 100 days moving average cross above the 200 days moving average right over here. So this is actually a first sign of the reversal. Okay, so when we want look out for reversal, this is one thing that we want to look out for: 100 days moving average crossing above the 200 days moving average. And this is where we also actually starts to see the 20 days moving average starting to head up as well. Okay, so recently we actually saw price get up right over here, right, on this day, which I believe they actually released some announcement about quantum computing, right? And then price actually gap up, and we actually also see the 100 days and 200 days moving average is kind of like just bouncing off each other, but it is still actually heading up. Short-term strength wise is definitely still very strong. We are still seeing strong short-term strength whereby the 20 days moving average is actually still heading up quite steeply over here, right? Over here. Okay, and in terms of resistance wise, we can definitely tell that, you know, the resistance would be somewhere around this 200 psychological level, which I've drawn over here. And if we were to zoom in a bit, what we can actually see based on candlestick is that, you know, this candle over here and this candle over here, they actually have long upper shadows, right? So this is a bit more in depth. So like what Joey mentioned, if you guys want to know more about candlesticks and things like that, and a bit more in depth about the strategy, do feel free to actually attend one of the upcoming 1GT webinars. All right. So when we actually see this type of candlestick happening, when we actually near a resistance, this means that, you know, sellers actually push the price back all the way back down. That's why we actually have this long upper shadow. Okay, so when we see long upper shadow near a resistance level, it means that selling pressure is definitely still there. Okay, so this is a resistance level that we want to take note of. And in terms of support, maybe you'll ask, okay, so where should the support be, right? So when a gap up actually happened, this is what we actually see, like this area, right, where actually no shares actually exchange hands. So this is what we call a rising window gap as well. And this could actually also be a support zone. Okay, so let me just turn on the buy and sell signal, and as well as the horizontal, as well as the trailing support and resistance to take a look as well. So like over here, so in 2024 January, this is March, this is where we see a 1GT bullish signal, and then price went all the way up here, we get another 1GT bullish. This is where we start seeing selling pressure coming back in, whereby the 20 days moving average also started to point down as well. And if we take a look at this, if we take a look at this, if we were to enter around here, all the way to about here is about 28%. That's not bad. And right now, what we are seeing is that we have a 1GT bullish entry signal that actually came out on this day, whereby prices actually get up, right? And as of now, there is still no 1GT bearish signal yet. Prices is actually still trading above this trailing support line over here, and like what I've mentioned earlier on, this could be a potential entry zone for you to monitor if prices were to actually pull back a little, you know, and head towards this level. This is where you can also consider to potentially accumulate on the dips. All right. And if those of you who are actually in some positions, perhaps maybe like I mentioned, 200 is a psychological resistance. That's where you can also consider to take some profit, put the money in your pocket first, you know, and then partial profits as well. That will work. And if prices were to break above this 200, that's where we can actually continue to ride the uptrend. Okay, so that would be for Google. So I'll pass the time back over to Joey.
Okay, thank you so much, Z. Maybe you can just show your screen, Z, for a while more. All right. And in fact, you know, guys, you mentioned as well for, you know, at the end, you know, we have just gone through one more round, all right, of me and Bervyn and Z answering the stocks that you guys were asking about. And now it's back to the bonus stock. And actually, I wanted to cover like Google as the bonus stock, like share with you. But since Z covered it already, no worries. I'll just cover another stock that is my watch list, okay? But just wanted to point to Z's chart as well and share with you guys why I actually like Google. So I think Z covered it really well. We did have a bullish signal. You can see the longer term trend is up, short-term trend still pointing up, but we are still below the 200 psychological resistance level. All right. So if you ask me exactly when will we break 200, to be honest, 2-3 words, I don't know. All right. But I know that if we do go above 200, like we go to 201 or 202 or 205 or 206, above 200, right? We would have another bullish signal potentially coming out as well. If it's a pretty good, you know, bullish price action, we have a bullish signal, and that could lead that rally as well. All right, to the next phase. Targets could be raised, targets could be revised even higher to maybe 220, 250. And definitely this is a stock in our watch list. All right. Okay. So let me go ahead to cover the stock back to me right now. Let's go to share my screen. I think we have some questions as well. Let's see, right? Let's see some questions. I think we sold late, right? Cryptocurrency. All right. So I think buy and Binance, let me know if a company buying and selling mostly bought before COVID, very low price. Awesome. I think you're talking about like Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrency, right? Let me know if your company buying and selling. So I think, Guiso, not too sure if I understand your question correctly. I think you're asking. So basically, guys, I'm a broker in Philip Securities, right? So they're looking at stocks, CFD and stuff, US stocks, Singapore stocks, all kinds of stocks. You can actually have a trading account under me for free. And Why do you want to do that? Well, essentially, as a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities, you do get some of these services as well, all right, in terms of our daily ideas by WhatsApp for free and no additional cost. So I'm not too sure where you guys are trading at, but we do share some of those services whereby we share some ideas, private training as well as a client in Philip Securities. So some of you might be clients as well. I think you do get some updates by WhatsApp. So if you are not yet a client, all right, let me just go to share the link, to share the link with you in the chat. I'll just place the link in the chat, right? So if you are not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, check it out, right? Check out how, the link's right there, click on it. Just fill in your details. A team will get in touch with you to find how you can become a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities. So you do get some of those services, especially, I'm not too sure where you're trading, right? But especially if you're trading in Singapore, you have a trading account, all right, and you don't get any service from your own broker, right? No ideas, no videos, nobody contact you, nobody call you, all right? You don't know who the person is. It's just like a hotline or something like that. Then please check it out, right? The link is right there. Click on it. Find out how you can become a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities to get more services as well. All right. Okay. So I think back to your questions, Sharon. So I think, okay, sorry, let me see. So cryptocurrency, right? So yeah, you can actually trade kind of like, cryptocurrency. You can actually buy directly like Bitcoin and Ethereum, like in Philip Securities trading account platform, but you can actually buy what we call the ETF that tracks those cryptocurrency. You can even do it on CFD as well. So so just reach out, and then that's where my team can guide you on that as well. And so how you can buy the ETF on cryptocurrency. All right. And in terms of back to this, like maybe Bitcoin, right? So I think you're talking about like Ethereum and Bitcoin, whether maybe another part of it where you bought it before COVID, very low prices. Congratulations. Maybe we can take a look at Bitcoin. As I say, right, you can type the name of any asset classes, not just stocks. So Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin right over here, and let's just take over here, right? So this is Bitcoin, right over here, and let's see what it says. So this is Bitcoin, all right, and maybe team can just write it for Bitcoin, the header. So this is Bitcoin right over here, and you can see that 101,000. Let's go to turn on maybe and see what it says on the one good trend indicator. All right, let me just turn it on. As I say, not just any stocks, but any asset classes as well, whether it's Bitcoin or Forex. Look at these guys. So maybe some pretty good bullish signals. This is Bitcoin, guys. So those of you who are trading cryptocurrency, right? You can see we got some really good bullish signals in February last year. There we go. All right. A couple of bearish signals, right? So some bearish signals came down, but I think this was pretty good, right? Look at this. This was in like September last year, just about 4 or 5 months back. And there we go. All right. All the way up here, we got a bearish signal coming out. I think that is simply right over here, 67%. This is just without leverage, just by the price alone, 67% gain, all right, in just about 3 over months. All right, this is Bitcoin, not a stock, right? It's Bitcoin. So as you see, any asset classes, type the name, seconds, right? You get kind of like a signal. So right now, you can see that we actually have a bearish signal coming out, right? Maybe I can show you why we have this bearish signal. You can just turn it on right over here. You can see that, well, this trailing support that pops up, it follows Bitcoin as it moves higher, all right? And true enough, you can see we actually attempted to go below this trailing support just by a little bit, all right? A little bit. That's why the bearish signal popped out. But right now, you can see that this trailing resistance came out. The green line, all right? So the longer term trend, if I look at the red and blue, is obviously up, right? But the green short-term trend, all right, has been up, pointing down a little bit. Now it is starting to point up. Does it make sense, right? It's starting to point up. So I think there's some signs, even though we are, this bearish signal came up, but there's some signs of the shorter-term trend starting to point up. So that could be a sign of strength, all right? Could be a sign of not we call like 100%, but there could be one confirmation already coming out that we are maybe in a reversal move right now. What would be another confirmation that can come out? Well, another confirmation would be if we were to go above this red line, this horizontal line, the trailing resistance that popped out. All right, that would be like the 106 or 105,000. If you were to go above that, great. That would be where we have another confirmation. There will be another bullish signal coming out. And if I can turn on the horizontal resistance right over here as well, if you can go above anything like 108 or maybe 110, I think that's where it could be really bullish. We could start to see even more upside momentum, right? So you can wait for the bullish signal to come out. I think that would be even more powerful. Okay, so yeah, we can do it on Bitcoin just to answer your questions. on Guisok. I mean, not just on whether you can do it. Yeah, so if you have a trading account under me in Philip Securities, you get some of the services. You can do crypto as well. All right, on the ETF. All right, okay. So I think Sharon, we have some questions as well. Let me go to answer your question. How do you define if a stock is firmly above a certain level to decide if it's time to get in? Right, price stays above that level for a number of days, or is it the volume? Very good question, Sharon. So I think that this question is pretty much a little bit on the strategy, or how do we know when to get in? I mean, based on the indicator and stuff. So I think, Sharon, maybe to answer this question, maybe you can attend one of those free webinars. The link is right in the chat. My team can just place the link in the chat again for one last time. All right, so attend one of those free webinars where we dive a little bit more behind the strategy, like when to get in. You know, is it like what should we look out for? You know, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, the kind of thing, right? So I think that's what you want. Of course, volume is important as well. That is probably step 5 or 6, right? That will be one of the questions for sure that we will cover, right? Attend all those free webinars and we will cover that for sure. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Sharon. So let me just go on to the next question as well. Okay, let's see. ABC, could we have some discussion on US banks like Citibank? I think we covered like Citigroup, Bank of America, maybe no, maybe next one. All right, because now, okay, let me just do a quick recap. I'll do a quick recap, guys, of what we have covered so far. I hope you can join us, ABC, the next one. But right now, we are diving into the, we're almost like 2 hours already. So we're diving into the final part, which is to cover the stocks, right? The stocks that we like, all right, the stocks that we like, and 3 bonus stocks, one from me, one from Bervyn, and one for Z as well, right? Stocks that we like and how you can put them in your watch list as well. All right. So why? Okay, let me see. Tim, can you put it back as well? The US Z. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. So let's move on right now. Okay, and I will cover this stock called IBKR. All right, IBKR. Let me see. Right. So this is IBKR. Let's take a look at it. Right. Okay, so this is IBKR, one of the stocks I like. Team Z just put the name out. Okay, good. IBKR. So you can see that, guys, we had a couple of bullish signals since 2023, even 2024 as well, right over here. Right, some bullish signals. You can see we started to push up from here in April, in May, somewhere in November 2023, and there we go. So a couple of bearish signals, you can see, came down a bit. But let me put your attention to this thing right over here. So you can see, right, just around like September, August, right, we actually had a very key resistance level. That would be the 130, right? 130. Let me just turn it off for a while, just to so that it's a little bit clearer. You can see 130, in fact, was a very key resistance, but we just couldn't get above it. Look at it, right? Touch, it came down, touch, came down, touch, came down. And finally, one fine day, you see we went above the 130 resistance level, right? In an uptrend, right? And that is where you can see the 20 days moving average, the green line started to point up as well. You can just turn on the bullish signals right now. Yeah, we did actually have a bullish signals right here. In fact, before that, we actually have a bullish signal right here before he actually attempted to break. And when we break, we got another bullish signal. And what happened? Well, we went up all the way. And that would be like, I mean, from the very first signal, I would say a 51%, right? In just about 2-3 months, right? And of course, we got this bearish signal coming out. I think you guys know why, because we actually kind of like went below this trailing. Can you see, guys? We actually went below this trailing support that was like following it since September, and we went below it. So a little bit of shakiness right there, a little weakness. You can see the green line also started to point down a little bit, right? But what happens over the past few days, guys? You see that now we have a new bullish signal coming out, right? We actually attempted to break this trailing resistance. I think the 190 level is pretty key. It's pretty key right now. Maybe even 200 psychological level as well, right? But we got a bullish signal coming back. The green line has also started to turn up. Does it make sense? Right. So that's where I think you might want to put this stock in your watch list. It's looking pretty bullish right now. All right. I think if we can go above that 195 to 200, we may even start to see, you know, this bullish signal start to play out to 220, 250. I think that could be a really, really good move. So this one stock in my watch list, all right, you could think about maybe getting in near a support level. And what would that be? Well, as I say, you could just simply turn this on and we get an idea of what could be the support level. So right over here, right, about 175, right, 175. So I'm not too sure whether you go down to 175 or 176 or 178 for you to buy. But if you do hit anything near there, 175 to 180 to maybe 185. You don't want to be too, too picky with the price, right? That could be potential entry, right? Think about getting in, of course, with a plan as well. You want to have risk management. All that will be covered in the webinar. All right, it's a bit more advanced stuff. We don't have time to cover everything. But once you have a plan that makes sense, you have a bullish signal, you have the short-term trend as another confirmation as well, that could be a very decent trade setup. All right, so that is the bonus stock I would like to share with you, and that will be IBKR. So I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn to share with you his bonus stock that is in his watch list that that you guys want to watch as well. Bervyn, back to you.
Thank you, Joey. Okay, so what I have here, I think it's a little bit different from what Joey have. I have Visa Incorporated. I think this is a stock that they are largely dealing in commercial services, payment processing. But I think in the recent few months, there is a significant sign that the trend could be firmly forming up with the 100 days moving average actually clearly going above or crossing above the 200 days moving average, alongside the 20 days moving average also firmly previously going up. Why? Because I think there was a gap up right here, as like Z mentioned, this is a rising support window. Actually there's no shares that actually exchange hands at between these prices, and this is a good sign actually that the near-term consolidation phase is still pretty much intact, especially if we look at the 20 days moving average. The 20 days moving average right here is slightly pointing up, but prices are kept under this 320 level since early November. Has been kept under this level, not being able to push above this level to hit higher. But I think the clear support level is also right there around the $300 psychological level, which I really like. This is where buyers actually tend to come in, or bargain hunters like to come in closer to these 300 levels, these round numbers, get in for this counter as well. So if I think in the near term we are able to see the 100 days and 200 days moving average continue to extend outwards, may see a clear sign of an upward move or upward momentum continue to form. I think we have to break above this 320 level before any of that could come up as well. So if we turn on our 1GT signals, actually saw that there was a 1GT signal that actually came up in late October before prices actually broke above this 300 level. So I think if prices are able to break above this 320 level, we may see. So if I just let me just turn off. Okay, so right here, the horizontal support, although the line is not extended out yet, if prices are able to break above this 320 level, that's when maybe we could see another 1GT bullish signal that could come up, indicating the upward momentum will still be there. So I think personally for me, I think I would like to check out this as well. Right here, we see the trailing support. It is right around the 300 levels as well. So it is a good sign, good place, or it could provide you an opportunity to get in if prices pull back slightly towards this 300 level as well. So I think I continue to be very bullish about this Visa as well, especially if the 320 gives way. But I think in the longer term trend is still forming, so we are still earlier on in the uptrend. So for those of you who want to add this into your watch list, I would strongly encourage you to do that as well. Okay, so that is my bonus stock.
Yeah,
I think everyone is keen to look at what Z is looking at as well. So can I pass the time to Z to bring you through the last stock?
Z, let's go.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so for today, for myself, the bonus stock that I would like to share with you guys is this stock called 1OK. So 1OK, maybe a lot of people, maybe many of you not very familiar with this stock, but just to share, this stock is in the oil and gas industry, okay, and it's called 1OK. Okay, so looking at the trend, right, of this stock, right, it has been pretty much in an uptrend, and the uptrend has been intact since the start of the year. And if we were to just take a look a bit towards, okay, maybe 2022, right, we actually see, you know, prices actually kind of like just moving sideways, right? And if I were to draw these levels, this is where price was actually consolidating between for, you know, at least I would say like 2 years, right? But within the consolidation phase itself, you can also kind of see that, you know, prices are kind of like starting to make what we call higher lows, right, within the consolidation phase itself. So this is where, you know, somewhere at the start of the year, we actually get more confirmation that the uptrend is actually indeed firming up, right? It actually broke above the resistance, turning it to become a higher support. And there we go, right? Prices hit all the way up. 20 days moving average is heading up. 100 days and 200 days moving average is also heading up. So long-term, short-term trend, all are intact and going in the same direction. And that's where we saw price hit up all the way to about, you know, close to 120, but I think the high was about 118. And that is when we actually start to see some selling pressure coming back in. Some sellers starts to, you know, take profit and things like that. And the 20 days moving average has started to point down as well. Starting probably in December all the way to where we are at right now. But right now, if we take a look at the shorter term trend, which is the green line, 20 days moving average, let me just zoom in a bit for you guys to see a bit clearer. Okay, so the 20 days moving average right now, it has actually shown signs and it is actually starting to point up again. And the 100 days and 200 days moving average, I mean, of course, it is still heading up. We all can tell that it's still heading up. But this is a very good sign in terms of the short-term trend. Okay, so let me just turn on the buy and sell signal to have a look. Okay, so in terms of the 1GT signals, right? I mean, over the years since 2024, like we said, when the uptrend started to firm up, we see quite a number of 1GT bullish entry signal. But I mean, of course, when the price is making its way throughout the year, we actually do see some selling pressure coming in. That's why we actually see some 1GT bearish signal as well. But overall, throughout the year, we actually do see a couple more 1GT bullish than bearish signal, right? And recently, just 2 days ago on the 15th of January, we actually do see a 1GT bullish signal appearing again, right? Okay, we do see a 1GT bullish signal appearing again, and that's actually a good sign, right? And I mean, of course, right now there is no 1GT bearish signal yet. And if I were to turn on the trailing support and resistance, let's take a look. So why this actually happened is because price, once again, it actually broke and closed above the trailing resistance, which is this red trailing line right over here. That's why we actually do see a 1GT bullish entry. So when price actually break above a resistance, do you guys think it's a good thing or is it a bad thing? I would think that it's a good thing because, you know, buying pressure is much stronger, buyers are in control, and it actually broke above a resistance. So this is actually a good sign. And in terms of resistance wise, right, in terms of, let's say, where you are thinking of taking some profits, right, I would say resistance wise, we can actually see some sellers coming back around this level, right, about 118 to 120, the psychological resistance level. Let me just turn this to red. So this would be where we might actually see some potential selling coming back in again. So this is where maybe you want to take note. But if prices is actually able to continue this uptrend, 20 days moving average head up, 100 and 200 days are also heading up, and prices actually do this, right? And it actually break above this 120. That's where we can actually see more potential upside to this counter. And what potential upside, you might ask? Let me just draw this quickly for you guys. Okay, so this is where we actually see some support, right? There's some support. And if we actually do a projection upwards like this from the resistance, this could be a potential upside that we are actually looking at. So probably somewhere around 140, conservative about 140, which is it could be a psychological resistance as well. So first level of resistance to note definitely will be 120, and the second level would be about 140. Right, so this is one of the stock that is in my watch list, and I think that there could be potential for this. So maybe you might want to keep a lookout for this and monitor this stock as well, especially if prices continue to head up and it can actually break above the resistance level. All right. So that would be one okay. And I'll pass the time back to Joey.
Thank you so much, Z. I think that stock is really one that I want to put in my watch list as well. All right. Thanks so much for sharing. One okay. I think it's really okay. All right. We had a bullish signal. The trend is also starting to turn up. You guys might want to watch it as well. All right. Thanks for sharing on this, Z. In fact, I've not looked at this for a while. I think now, probably I got an alert for it, but I missed it. But I think it looks pretty awesome, right? Okay, so now, guys, maybe let me do a quick recap. I think some of you are asking about certain stocks as well, whether it was covered and stuff. So let me just do a quick recap, guys, of this session today, this live show called Ask Me Any US Stocks, right? What have we covered so far? So if you missed the stocks, right, we have covered it. You can check out the replays on YouTube after the live show. You'll be there as well. So let me just give you an idea of what we have covered, right? So we have covered the S&P500 index, the market, and then we covered number 1, Tesla, NVDA, Adobe, ADBE, right? Number 4, we have Palantir, pretty popular stock, right? Then we went to Apple, that's number 5. Then we went to number 6, Block, the code is SQ. I covered Dell. Citigroup was covered. Meta, right? Meta was covered as well. That's number 9. Number 10, we have AMD, and number 11 we have this one called KO, right? KO, and that would be, I would say, number 11 is
yeah, that was Kodak that was actually covered. Yep.
Sorry, that was Kodak, KODK, if I'm not wrong. That would be the code, right? Kodak 11, right? So those of you who are looking at Kodak, KODK, that's code. Number 12 we have Wolf by Z. Number 13 was by me, Microsoft, MSFT. Number 14, AVGO, Broadcom, pretty popular stock, right, in the semiconductor sector. Number 15, we have MSTR, Z did it. Number 16, we have KO, right? Yeah, that was KO, Coca-Cola. That was by me, all right? LLY, Ally, Lilly, and Co. as well. Number 17, number 18, we have Google, all right? And we did one more, right? That was the end already, but we did one more because somebody asked about like Bitcoin, crypto and stuff. So I actually covered after Google, I covered on the Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin, so team, just write it down. We covered on Bitcoin. That was not a US stock, but never mind. I'll just cover Bitcoin. And the bonus stock would be IBKR by me. Bervyn shared on Visa, all right? And Z just shared on one okay, right? So I think some of you have some questions as well. Any questions, guys? I think we have pretty much come to the end of this live show called Ask Me Any US Stock. Any questions, go to type in the chat. I think some of you are asking like, Invest L. Joey, you were saying to use 1 GT for coin. Is that actually possible? Yes, it is possible. It is possible. Invest. We did it on Bitcoin. I don't know. You want Ethereum? You can do it on any asset classes, not just stocks. We are just covering US stocks today because today's session is on US stocks, right? But you can do it on any asset classes, not just stocks, not just Singapore stocks. Any stocks, any asset classes, crypto, forex, gold, whatever. I don't know. So let's say like Ethereum, right? We covered a Bitcoin. Maybe let's just do Ethereum, right? Or something on the more popular Bitcoin, right? Ethereum, HER, Ethereum. Where is that, right? Maybe right over here, right? Ethereum. This is the first one, right? Very simple. Let's take a look at what it says. Maybe just keep it a little bit cleaner, and let's take a look at what it says, right? In terms of any bullish or are there any bearish signals? Take a look at it. Take a look at it yourself, right? So this is Ethereum. Any asset classes, pretty good one here. Bullish signal in Ethereum, October 2023. Look at the move. Look at the move, right? All the way up here, 120%. All right, there we go. A bearish signal, not so good. Take some profit, please. Get out. Another bullish signal went out. And look at this, another bearish signal, and down we went again. Ethereum all the way down. Another 25%. A bullish signal started to reverse back up, but now we got a bearish signal, right? So maybe not yet, right? Maybe not yet. Wait until you see a bullish signal, and then we think about getting in again, right? So this is Ethereum, right? As I said, you can type the name of like any asset classes. This is crypto. We have like forex, futures as well, right? This is Ethereum right over here. So I think it looks the same, just different exchanges, right? But yeah, pretty much looks the same. Bearish signal, Ethereum, US dollar is pretty much making its way down now. Since last month, we had a bearish signal. It seems to be moving down. All right. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. Invest L as well. All right. I think if you have any questions, type in the chat as well. All right. So we go to answer them. I think that should be it. We have pretty much come to the end of today's training. All right. Okay, good. So I think that should be it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. I think we have come to the end. All right, so if you learned something so far, maybe you've just placed in the chat, guys. If you want to find a little bit more as to the strategy, into the one good trend strategy, and also like how perhaps you could have an indicator like this with seconds, you can just in a minute, in a few seconds, get an opinion whether to buy or sell. Check out the webinar. The link is right in the chat. We'll place it there again. And of course, if you want to find out exactly how you can have an account under me in Phillip Securities, so if I do get some of our ideas by WhatsApp daily, all right, for free as well. All right, that is where you can. The link's right there. Check it out. The link's right there. Check out how you can become a VIP client under me in Phillip Securities. All right. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Right, let's go through the comments and just acknowledge all of you. Right, just this type of buys, we can acknowledge all of you, but we have pretty much placed the link in the chat already. Look forward to see you in the next live session next Friday on the 24th of January. All right, 2025, next Friday, 10:30 a.m. And that will be where we'll be covering the Singapore stock, right? The Singapore stocks. Today is US. Next Friday will be Singapore. All right, and there we go. All right. Thank you so much, Leong, ABC, Bervyn and Zee. Very good session. Awesome. Thank you so much. Hopefully you got some value. Hopefully we covered your stocks as well. Alex, thank you so much. Dave, thank you. Bernard, thank you as well. All right. Thank you so much for staying all the way here. Hopefully you guys found value in this very Ask Me Any US Stock live session. All right. So yeah, I think that's it. We'll call it a day. Have a good weekend ahead and a happy new year as well to you guys. All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.